Okay, welcome to the second round of the Rilton Cup 2023. I'm here, I'm Tom Wedberg, Grandmaster, Swedish, and I have an excellent co-host, International Master, Jesper.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we had a great day yesterday, didn't we?
Yes, it was surprisingly interesting.
Yes.
Because the first round normally is very uneven. But in this year's edition of Rilton Cup, you can see that the difference between the top and the bottom is not as big as it usually is. At least that is my feeling.
No, we had some really remarkable upsets, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go through the results from yesterday.
Yes.
And just have a look what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, Claus, do we have the results up? Yeah, excellent. Okay. So we can see the first board was an upset, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And we have a young guy from India, an international master, who actually beat our highest rated player.
Yes.
The Polish Bartosz Soczko,
yes.
grandmaster.
It was very interesting also, the way it happened.
It was very, yeah. How would you describe the fight?
The thing was that very early on in the game, Bartosz got, from my point of view, a clear advantage.
Yeah.
And my feeling was that this will end soon because it was castling in different directions and Black was far ahead when it comes to the attack. But somehow he didn't find the right way forward to gain, something from this development advantage. Instead, White could launch an attack, almost a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
Because and suddenly all this fits together, and some really, really nice tactical solutions in the game, in the middle game, from the young Indian guy. So and after that, it was more like one way goal.
Yeah, yeah.
So a very good game beside the opening by this young Indian guy.
Yeah. Do we have the position out now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had this position in the game, and we thought that Black has a good game with the knight on a5, and there was chances for a kingside attack. But suddenly, only a few moves later, I think it was around here, in this position, it's suddenly a win for White.
Yes.
And
it's very surprising also how easily it was, in a way.
It was this very critical position, and Black would like to play a move like bishop up here, but then White has this queen g3 check, and the king goes here, and suddenly this very annoying check up here, and Black can interpose, but it's a mate.
But I think the key of this position is actually that, Black can move the knight on b3, giving a check.
Yeah, this is...
But... it doesn't matter so much because in this type of positions, it's all about being the fastest when it comes to the attack. And White is much faster here. Mm-hmm. And the black squares is very weak when it comes to the black position. So surprisingly, there is no good way to make use of this check with the knight.
No. For instance, in this position, he played king f8. But if, let's say, he takes this here, I think the king just moves.
Yeah.
And the only check that means anything is here, and then the king goes one more step, and suddenly it's over.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help.
Oh.
So and then after this turn of events, White won the game. It was a long game with an ending but it was always easy win, I would say. For White.
He didn't play perfect, of course.
No.
He could have won faster, but my feeling was that there were no really, there was no question that White was going to win the game. So impressively, I must say, not the least as I think it was 250 ELO points in between the players.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not so much
exactly
that you normally see in this type of start of a tournament, but. Still Black should be the clear favorite, of course, to win the game.
This was a big upset. Then on the second board, the favorite, Kaido Kulots, won fairly easy with White. But then on board 3 again, we had a slight upset.
Yes.
Your junior, Oliver, from Finland.
Yes, from Finland, but, juniors, you cannot judge them. Also, my feeling is after this COVID and so on, people have been playing differently and they have been training on their own and so on. So my feeling is that rating is not you cannot really focus on rating only
it's
these
true.
days, because it's big difference.
Yeah. But still, it's again almost 250, 230 maybe. And the opponent is also a young guy, this Ido Gorstein.
Yeah.
So this was a very strong game by Oliver, I would
Yes.
say. Even though he was slightly worse at some point, but then in the end he was almost better.
Yeah.
And this is actually the final position up now. And Oliver is white, and I mean white somehow stands better, but of course it's a draw, it's a rook ending.
Yeah.
And then we have on board 4, we have another upset. Erik Blomqvist managed to get a draw.
Exactly.
Because he was actually in a bad position.
Yes.
And we can just look at the position here. It was, in the end, it was...
in this position. Yeah.
This is the position. And of course, Erik had an excellent position after the opening, but then he made, at one point, he started to play a little bit passively, and he got into this position. And in this position, it's actually winning for black if he starts off with the knight h3 check, and the king goes to the corner, and now you have this very beautiful queen e2 move.
Yes.
Attacking the knight over here, and also attacking the pawn over here. And
but the big finesse is that knight e1 is not working.
No, because if you play down here, then the queen sneaks in here, and you still have the bishop. But now you can choose mates here. You can do this one.
The simple one.
Yeah.
So that was the crucial moment
that was
where black had
moment.
his chance to win.
Yeah, he had a chance, but he didn't take it.
No.
So it was a draw, but still very good for I think also an Indian player, Utsab Chatterjee. Then we had some favorite wins here, a couple of, but then we had a sensational result on board 9.
I would say not the least if you look at the game.
That's what I'm thinking. The game was, I think, a very good game by Tiger. It is Tiger. He plays black against Srihari, also I guess an Indian player.
Yeah.
And we had this position in the end. Let's see. It was, yes, here's the position. And of course, black is completely winning. You have the pair of bishops.
Yes.
You have a queen. You have an attack. The only slight problem, of course, is that you are quite afraid that the white queen is going to enter this spot here on g7. That would be nasty. But the bishop can always fall back to.
Yeah.
So it should be easy win. But look at what happened here. Rook f1, okay. Queen takes a2, another pawn.
Yeah.
King h1, queen c2.
Yeah.
Attacking e4 and preventing queen to go to h6, I would say. So in this position, I don't know what he was thinking about here, white, but it's a brilliant concept, I think. Rook e3. No, sorry.
It's correct. Move on. Queen c2.
Yeah, queen c2. Rook e1, a3, yes.
And
now comes a very strange move. It looks like rook e3.
Yes.
And of course...
the trap is if you take the rook with the bishop.
Yeah. If you take this one, then you get this classic check.
And it's a stalemate.
And it's a stalemate because the bishop,
covers up the g1 square. Yeah.
Covers the square, and the queen covers here, and the king is just stuck here.
Yes.
And of course...
But of course he saw this.
Of course he saw this.
We were sure that
yes,
now, the final trap.
Yeah.
And then he will give up white.
The best continuation now is just to play queen down here, check.
Yes.
And
king to g2.
If the king goes up, you can take the rook if you want to.
Yeah.
And you have a winning attack. And if the rook goes back, you can just seal the game with this one. But instead, in this position, Tiger played a2.
And now
the
big upset.
Have a look at this. Now the young Indian guy played queen h8, and this must have come like a complete shock.
Yes.
For Tiger.
Yes. Also because he saw this trick in the move before, and then he just overlooked.
Maybe he was thinking that the rook is shielding the g, so there is always. But the problem is that white.
Because you can show what's happening now.
Yeah. Of course, black has to take on the move, and now comes another check.
And if you take it with the bishop,
if you take here, stalemate. So you move the king, but then the rook sacrifices itself, and it's a stalemate.
Yes.
So, and this is a shocker, I would say.
That is a real shocker.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like we said yesterday, actually Tiger has done this before, starting a bit slow and then coming from below. So never count him out, because he's the type of player who can win several moves in a row.
Yeah,
so,
he's a fighter. I'm not worried for him. And he actually played a very good game. This is sort of one of those quirky things that happens now and then.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean anything. A draw in the first round means very little, actually.
Yes, because it's so many rounds, and what is happening now is that he will start to play against less ranked players, so he will have a chance to come from below, and it's a long tournament. So.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I think they call it an open gambit when you sacrifice a few games in the beginning and then and then you finish strongly in the end.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't know that, but I'm sure it's a strategy you have used before, Tom.
I always do it.
You always do
Too
it.
much.
Too much. Okay.
Okay, and then we have some results that let's see. I'm going to change the view here. So this was Tiger, a bit sad, but on the other hand, here we have on board 10, we have a win for the favorite again, a Frenchman, grandmaster. I've never heard of him, Pierre Baillet, who won against a guy from India, a candidate master. And then we have Anand.
But not the famous one.
No, not the one, but a guy named Batsuk Anand. I don't think he's from India, he's from some other country. And he played actually against one of the new Swedes.
Yeah, the Swedish champion.
Yeah, the Swedish champion. So,
yes.
So tell us a little bit about him.
Vitaly Sivuk. Frankly speaking, he was making his debut on the highest level in the Swedish championship. Just received the Swedish citizenship, and he made it fantastically by winning his first championship. Right now he's ranked only 2490, but he has been closer to 26 earlier on. Yeah. So no doubt he is a stronger player than his rating, I believe. Yeah. So
we should also mention that he's from Ukraine.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Of course, I'm sorry. No, that's why he also get his citizenship so quickly as well, of course. Yeah.
So he won. He was higher rated and he won. And then we have a minor upset on board 12, where the 7 times Spanish champion Juan Beon made a draw with the higher rated Tore Fredrik Kåsen. Yeah.
And Tor Fredrik is one of the most promising Norwegian players, very ambitious, and he will be a grandmaster, I believe, in a couple of years' time, or if not already in 2024. But on the other hand, it's for me this is not such an upsetting result because Beyond still has got a huge routine of playing and so on. Even now he's down to 2260. I mean, he's been 2-5 players. He's much stronger than the rating. Yeah. But the rating says something maybe about form and about motivation and things like that. Yes. Not so much about chess knowledge, I would say. Yeah, and then we had a lot of other results. We had Eduardas Rosenthalis, grandmaster from Lithuania, who actually only made a draw with a FIDE master here from Germany, Mert Asikel, or I don't know how you pronounce that, but anyway. So that was a bit surprising. But actually what is interesting with the Rilton Cup is also that there is tradition that you have some players, because this is such a nice tournament, so they come back year after year, also after their peak of their careers, and in this tournament you can see not only Bejan and Rosenthalis, but we also have an old favorite of mine, Romanishin, playing on the lower boards as well.
Yesterday he actually beat one of my juniors in my junior training group. Yes. Hugo Wernberg, very promising young player, but of course he played against the legend, the Ukrainian grandmaster Oleg Romanishin, who played in the Soviet national team way back, and he's one of the greats in chess, I would say.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it's time for us to go to today's round.
I think so.
Yeah. So we will do a little shift here and we will change to round 2.
Yes.
And now we're going to look at this game. I don't know if this is one of our preferred games, but we said that today we just go through the games maybe a bit faster in the beginning, and then we try to find the most interesting stuff.
That's good.
So this one, it's hard to say anything yet, I would say.
Oh, the only thing we can say that is that Kaido Kulauts, that is playing black, a very strong grandmaster, or right now maybe closer to 2.5, but he's been up to 2.6 many times during his career. Played a lot in Scandinavia and not the least in Rilton Cup, so he's an old friend.
He's an old friend, and he's played in Sweden, not only Rilton Cup, but many other tournaments as well.
Exactly.
So, and I played him a couple of times in Sweden, and always great to play him. He's a classical player. I mean, he knows the openings, and he plays good plans and good tactics. Everything is nice with his play.
Yes, and an active player.
Also a very active player, yes.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
And he's playing an international master, a 23.66. It will be interesting now also because he's black. He won very easily yesterday with white, Kaido. So let's see if he's up to this challenge, playing against this player. So, interesting. Not much more to say. We have a classical opening.
We can just go through
the
moves just for the sake of clarity here. So this is a very good way to start, and then you have many options. You can play d5, c5, whatever you want afterwards. Knight f3, and now you have many options. What do you play with the black here?
I play c5, of course. You know that, Tom.
Yeah,
then we move into the little bit dubious opening.
The murky part of chess. Yes. Both Jesper and I like to play the Benoni. And I still like the opening, but I have to say it has become more difficult with all the computer preparations and Chessable and whatever it's called.
Totally agree. So
it's not as fun as it used to be, but it's still playable. Mm-hmm. But that's not Kaido's style. He doesn't like to play like that. He plays more classical d5. Which is, I'm sure, objectively much better than c5.
Yes. And now we move into the Queen's Gambit, of course, when you play d5 like that.
Yeah, now we have the Catalan.
And we go into the Catalan.
Yeah. And this is very important. Hey, here you have this big option. Should I check on b4? Mm-hmm. Should I take on c4? Should I play c6? Should I play knight d7? Or bishop e7 also?
Or c5.
Or c5 also possible, yeah.
You go for the hard stuff.
Then you go for some Tarrasch type of situation. Mm-hmm. So, but I think d takes c4 is the best move for black. Yeah. I think that's
at least it's a very good move. So
it's either that or you play with c6 maybe. I think those are the basics. But I have a feeling that this might be the best move for black. Anyway, bishop g2,
and you could also say that. You don't see this type so much anymore, the Catalan on highest level, and that is normally a sign of that there is ways for black to equalize the position, rather easily. Yeah. And like Tom said today, the opening theory has changed a lot due to this computer analysis that can tell you exactly what to do and so on. Not the least for some of these old variants that have been used through history. Some of them has almost disappeared due to this,
Yeah, it's a changing landscape of openings, and it has always been that, but I think there is not so much focus on really long opening lines anymore. I remember in the Kasparov days, he had these, 25 move opening lines and things like that. You don't see that as much anymore, because the computers have shown us that there are so many moves you can play. You don't have to follow what Kasparov plays.
But also you really need to divert from the,
Otherwise
you go straight into some kind of analyzed lines or something like that.
So people try to avoid the first move of the computer, right? So you make a couple of second moves of the computer, and then suddenly you're in unknown territory.
Yes. Okay,
so let's see what happened then. So c5. Mm-hmm. There are many moves, but that's definitely one of the safest options for black. And knight c6. Yeah,
in this type of position, black has taken a pawn on c4. The drawback is, of course, that you neglect a little bit of your development. Yeah. And the question is now, how should white take back the pawn? Mm-hmm. And also how to do it in a way so that you can have something to play for and not just swapping pieces so it will become a draw. Or in this case, you are satisfied with that. So
it seems that Kaido is going for this very symmetrical situation with open D file and open C file, no queens, and I think this is actually a quite good way to play because you can use your experience.
Yeah.
It's not so much tactics, so I think it's a good choice by Kaido to go for this.
Not at least as I think that black has got no problem in the position. I think that is the most. That is also why I think it's a good choice, of course. You know, because
But it's not as fun as playing a Benoni.
No, I agree. But maybe it's better.
Yeah.
So
okay, let's take the next game here.
yes,
And here we have a Swedish player playing Theodor Kennesko from Rokaden, who is he has made some nice strides, I would say, and become much stronger. I think he plays regularly in the Rokaden first team, and he plays against this Pranith, and we have an Italian game here. So let's have a look at this could be interesting.
Yeah,
So
what is interesting with this, you know, when you see this on top level, is that this is what you normally call a beginner's opening. This is like the first opening you learn as a child after maybe the scholar's mate. Then you go for this type of setup, you know, moving out the knights, the bishop on c4 and so on.
And this bishop c4 move.
Yes. And, you know, but the thing is, again, it will be a maneuvering game.
Yeah.
And the best player normally wins. So even though you don't get any huge advantage in the opening, you will have a solid game and you start to play.
Oh. So this is the start of the Yoko Piano or Pianissimo or whatever it's called, the very quiet game. And it's very popular. I think it's popular because it's not so easy to find something with the computer that wins the game. It's just there are always lots of moves you can play and they are all playable. I mean, it's not very critical. You don't have to play forced lines or anything like that.
No, like I said, you know, the opening is not the main thing when you start like this. It's more the middle game and the maneuvering and the understanding of where to put the pieces. And what is also interesting is that, you know, there are several different options. So you can try to find out which plan to go for, you know. Is it like the c3, d4? Is it to maneuver the knight on b1 to g3? Or how should you play here? And that makes it, of course, difficult for the opponent to prepare. And that's what the better player normally wants to have, this kind of options.
And already in this position, there are quite a lot of options for black. You can, if you want to, you can play like Theodor did. He played bishop c5. That's the number one move. So but quite popular these days is actually the move h6 here. And then you have ideas like playing maybe even g5 or g6 and fianchetto the bishop. Or you go with the bishop to c5. It depends on what happens. Another move you can try here, you can play the bishop e7 line. It's also a possibility. So there are many possibilities. You can even play a6 in this position, I think. So, but in the game it was bishop c5, knight c3. And this is not the most common move, right?
No. I mean, knight c3, that's why I said it was almost like a child's game. Because, you know, if you want to play a little bit harder, you go for c3 or something like that, to go for a d4 break or b4 or something like that. With knight c3, well, it's a good move, of course, because you bring out a piece and you take control of a d5 and so on. But, you know, you do not really put pressure on black with this move.
No.
So
it's a very decent move. It cannot be bad, right?
Of course.
But on the other hand, you don't create any imbalance. So I think this move, for instance, or castling, you can also castle here.
First, yes, of course, and then choose.
If you castle here, of course, there is always the risk that black tries to go for something like this and maybe even play g5. This is so some people don't want to castle too early. It can be a mistake to castle too early. But knight c3 is definitely playable. Another move that has been played is move like a4, moving the pawns here on the side. So there are many moves. But knight c3 happened in the game. And now black played h6.
Yes.
And white played h3. and d6, and it's still completely
Yes, they are
symmetrical.
waiting with a castling because they
yeah.
want to say, maybe they will go for a sharper line.
I would say
That happens.
if white castles here, black might well play g5.
Yes.
I think this is even a good. I mean, this is good in this position because you have an easy game and you can quickly get an attack, especially since white has this slight weakness here with h3.
Yes.
You can play this move here.
Yeah.
And break up the king side, and it's very dangerous. So you have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
So in this situation, he played knight a4.
Yes, I thought about that as well.
Yeah.
Because also this type of bishop that is hitting down to f2 is normally a very strong bishop.
Yeah.
So if you can swap it off, suddenly some kind of attack will lose in strength. So it's a very logical move to me if you cannot play castle.
Yeah. And now he continued with a3 here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the idea must be to
avoid knight a5.
Yeah. You preserve your own bishop,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't want to take on b6 immediately. You want to keep that option for later.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess after a3, you don't have the chance to play this because then you can just play b4.
Yes.
And you have to go back again, and there was no point in
Exactly.
in this.
Yeah.
So I don't know after a3. I guess again, if you castle, white might go for g4. I don't know if you do that. I'm not sure, but it's.
Me neither.
I think
it looks a little bit dubious.
I think
actually,
in
right
this
now.
position with the knight here, I think maybe you have just this move.
Yeah.
And maybe this was a bit
Because this is a classical way to react. If someone is going for a counter-attack on one of the flanks, you should try to go for a breakthrough in the middle because then it's weakened and so on, and that's something you always need to look into. So
this is one of the sort of weak sides of this maneuver White has done. He has no control here anymore.
Of d5.
So black will probably at some point play this move.
Yeah.
And even though he doesn't have the bishops, he still has the center. So
Yes.
this will be an interesting game.
Yes.
So with that, I think we go to the next one.
Yep. Because that was the position that we saw.
Yeah, that after a3, that's the position.
Okay.
Okay. So here we have an international master from Finland.
Oh.
Do you know anything about this guy?
No, I don't actually.
Pekka Koika. Maybe we should check who this is.
Yes, please.
No, there.
Because I was speaking to Oliver yesterday.
You spoke to him after the game, yeah?
No, before the game. And he said he was a bit disappointed that he didn't get more Finnish players to play in the tournament, So, yeah.
Okay, so...
Because this is not one of the younger players, huh?
No, this
born
guy is
1990.
born 90, so he's 33.
Yeah.
And he has a decent rating.
Mm-hmm.
We could say he's a decent international master.
Yes, but not a professional, of course.
No,
So,
but he plays against this Jan Subeli. Maybe we should check him also because I don't know anything.
but he
about
was
this
the
guy.
one who made this huge mistake in the opening, and wasn't he?
Yeah, but I want to. I would like to know a little bit
course.
about this
Sure.
guy. So let's see.
You can if you go down. If you go, yeah, okay, you can do.
We can
like
do.
that. Yeah,
I
okay.
can go here.
Hmm?
Let's see. Oh, it's a young guy.
From Czech Republic.
He's 19.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Comes from Maribor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 25-12 and grandmaster.
Born 2004, so he's
Yeah.
19. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he made a terrible mistake yesterday.
In the opening, yeah.
in the Norwegian line of the Spanish.
But in the end, he struck back and he won by a tactical intermezzo.
Yeah, and I think when you do that like he did, this can be very nice. I mean, you feel that, okay, I made a terrible blunder, but I rectified it. I fought back. I won it. It can be quite a nice feeling, actually.
Yeah.
So I would guess that he can be quite dangerous in this tournament because he's a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be up and coming, and he's a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what happened in this game today. So he plays against this not so young international master from Finland, 33 years old, Pekka Koika. And Pekka plays white. So let's see what we have here.
So we have Okay.
Oh, this is really old opening. We have
Yes.
the Keres attack.
Oh, yes.
This was very popular in the 70s
Yes.
with Ulf Andersson and Jubojevic and
Exactly.
Tal and these guys.
That's right.
They played this all the time.
Mhm. And of course, it's a little bit provoking to play g4 in the opening like this. But it is not so easy for black to make use of this move. And the idea is, of course, to push this g-pawn one step forward and make black, show where to put the knight on f6. And one problem is, of course, that sometimes you say that the knights are on each other's toes. And quite often you want to have the b8 knight to go to d7 and then to c5. But in this case you have a bit of a problem, because if you play knight b d7, then g5 and the knight on f6 need to go back to g8. So it's somehow white is trying to squeeze black early in the game.
Yeah. You can play like knight c6, but then after g5 you have a problem. You need to go back like this.
Yes.
And then you can do this, but my experience with white here is that this is nice for white.
Yeah, well, at least, it's like you get squeezed quickly, and it's difficult to understand where to put your pieces with black, because it's like they are all a bit cramped. And if you take on d4, queen take d4, you are quick in your development with white, castling alongside and then go for an attack, either with the f-pawn or just start rolling on the king's side with your pawn. So
yeah, this is very nice. White has many options. You can come with this pawn here, or you can move the rook here, or
no. So there's
usually you play queen here, maybe castle queenside, and this bishop goes somewhere, c4 or e2 or sometimes g2. It depends on what happens. Anyway, this is not so nice, and it didn't happen in the game. Black played what I think is the best move in this position, and that is to play h6. I think black has to play this move. And you might say, well, but isn't that good for white? Because white can play maybe h4, prepare and play g5, but it takes some time.
But also with this move, what you do is that you say that I will not make short castle, because at least not normally, because
not immediately.
Then you can break up with g5 quickly.
Yeah.
So it will be like you stop this immediate plan, and still of course this is a weakness on g4. So e5 sometimes can come, and you can see the bishop on c8 and the knight on f6 hitting on g4. This is something you have to watch out for with white always.
True.
So it's pros and cons in this type of position, to play g4 and then h6.
It is. Yeah. But it's a fighting move. h6, you prevent g5 from coming immediately, and as you said, you accept the fact that maybe you will not castle kingside. So let's see what happens after this. Rook g1. It's one of the main moves, of course, and white's plan is very simple. h4, g5, kick that knight away. Maybe play g6, just open up everything, mate, something like that. But now he played e5.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a line. And as you said before, the best way to counter a flank attack is to do something in the center.
Yeah.
And that is what black is doing.
The dream is quite often to play e5, and when the knight moves, you try to push and play d5.
Yeah.
Because if you can break up the center with a g4 played and rook on g1, this kind of attack in the center can be very strong. But white will do everything to prevent it, of course. There are different ways of doing it, and the white is choosing one way. One question is, of course, what about knight to f5? What will happen then, Tom?
Yeah, this is definitely a possibility to go here.
Yes.
And then one point is, of course, that if you do this, you can't take here and play for the g5 thing, but you can also, if you want to go back.
Yeah, that looks more normal to me.
Yeah, both are possible. Both are possible, but I think because there is a similar line in the Najdorf where the bishop is on e3 and you have played a6.
Yes, that's right.
So if in this position black would have played a6 and white
bishop
would have played
e3, E5, knight F5.
Yeah, then we get into this type of thing that
That's
looks
right.
more like a Najdorf.
Mhm.
But these lines are of course very
It's because
closely
actually
related.
I like the move White played in this position, because now you have the chance to give a check, and this is a bit annoying actually,
Yeah,
because one of the main questions you have as a chess player playing is of course which pieces to keep and which one to swap off.
Yeah.
And in this case there is no doubt that when E5 is played, if White can swap off the white squared bishops, like if Black plays bishop D7, normally you're very happy with that, with White, because then the squares on D5 and F5 and so on will be much more weaker, and also the threat on G4 is away. So, and you know, to play knight BD7, you do not want to play that, because then I guess knight F5 can be really strong, hitting on D6. So that is a bit annoying. So that was...
Yeah, it looks very good. Also the fact that we have this D5 square here.
Yes.
So you want to exchange pieces maybe, and maybe at some point you can put... the ideal result would be to have a knight against this bishop up here.
Yes.
Because this bishop here is not so good, right?
That's right.
So this could be a problem. But he played in this situation bishop d7, as you said. Knight d7 was not really an option. And there was an exchange. And he's now thinking.
Yes, because you have two choices here. Knight F5, that in a way looks normal because it's hitting on C5. I guess you play knight C5 in that position, huh?
Yeah.
And you are threatening to take on E4. So
then you might maybe have to play F3 or something.
Yes.
Or Queen F3 maybe.
Yeah, maybe something like that. And then, you know, you don't know if that is something to your benefit or not. The other move is knight B3. Could be a possibility to outrule this possibility of putting the knight on C5. Because if you play knight C5, you simply swap it off, and you will have like a hole on D5 that can be unpleasant.
Yeah.
So
White will always have a nice square here, and if you can combine something like kicking away this knight here on F6, and then finally enter D5, that would be a sort of a long-term goal.
But for me, what is a little bit surprising here is because Black is the higher rated player, I'm a bit surprised because I think White has got quite a simple play in this position, you know, and I think that he makes it easy for his opponent. That's my feeling. But
maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
But we'll see. Maybe
it depends if Black manages to somehow break free here, and maybe if he even could play at some point D5 or something.
Yeah.
And the bishop comes out. Suddenly, White might have an awkward position where he hasn't really developed the pieces and so on. So we'll see what happens. This is interesting.
Yes.
It's not easy to say.
But I would prefer to play White in this position, personally.
Yeah, I would like to play White, but I would, if I had this position now, I would be a little bit uncertain because I haven't analyzed this position, so I don't know really what the problem is.
Yes.
And maybe there is something going on here that we don't know. So let's just check the times. Okay, so the Czech Grandmaster, he has used around 10 minutes so far.
A little bit more because of increment time.
Yeah, so it's maybe.
But okay.
Maybe it's 15 minutes.
But still, they have been thinking a bit.
Is it 30 seconds?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So around a quarter of an hour. But Koika, he has used much more. So he obviously is not in his preparation here.
No.
And he's thinking,
but it can also be, you know, do not underestimate that in this type of very sharp and
you have to think.
There can be, remember the lines and so on. So,
but it's a very forcing position. I mean, where do I go with the knights?
Here I agree. I agree.
So if you had prepared and you had analyzed knight F5 and so on, you would make that move. You wouldn't think about it. But
I agree.
He's thinking, should I go to B5, F5, F3? I mean, there are E2, actually quite a lot of options. So probably he's out of preparation, my guess.
Yes, I agree.
So let's go to the next game. So here we have Raya.
And here we have interesting.
Rithwick, the Grandmaster, against a FIDE master, Selim Sitak. We have to check these guys because I don't know who these guys are. So let's see, how do we do this? Like this. And we go to the pairings. And we check Raya. Very young grandmaster from India.
2004.
Yeah, so he's 19 years old, 2500. Strong player, obviously.
Yes.
And then we have his opponent, Selim from Turkey. But he's a veteran of the game.
Yes. Interesting.
Almost 40 years old, 38.
Yes.
With 2350 FIDE Master. So we don't know anything about these players really. So we can only go by the ages and their ratings and so on. And from that information, it seems like the Indian guy is probably the favorite here.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, it's also, that India is the hottest chess country in the world these days.
Yeah.
They have so many strong young talents coming up, and we saw that last year in our tournament where we had a 16-year-old Indian player winning the tournament. Pranesh. And also everyone knows about Pragnananda and these young talents from Gukesh and there are so many of them, because chess is so big in India these days. We made like a test also, or a survey of chess in schools, and 15 million kids has got chess in India.
Only 15 million.
Only 15 millions. So it's amazing, this chess culture that is growing in this country. And like we said yesterday, one a bit strange thing is that even though they have this fantastic culture, it's like the tournament culture has not followed.
No.
So all these young players really need to go to Europe to really be able to develop, maximum. Yeah. So that's why so many come and play.
It's really nice to see them come. They come in big groups, and they all look very focused, I would say.
Yes.
And they are all really sportsmen, and they really fight, and they are very concentrated when you watch them play, and it's quite impressive actually.
Very impressive. So it is no doubt there will come more.
Yeah, there will come more.
Yes.
Only like a few years ago we were talking about China, and China was coming in chess, and now there's nothing from China.
Yeah, actually the top government they stopped. Yeah. And saying that we do not go for chess anymore, because they had at some point, I don't know, 20 years ago or 15 years ago, they launched a program to try to create world champions and so on, and they succeeded. They both on women's side, both on women's side they have been dominating for a long time, and also now with Ding Liren, that is the world champion of men's chess. But they have actually stopped. And when Ding Liren was winning the championship, they had no newspapers following it until the last day when one newspaper came to make something on it. So China will, I guess, drop down, not the least compared to.
They already have. If you check the ongoing rapid world championship, they have Yu Yang-yi who is playing there, and he's in the top. But apart from him, there are almost no Chinese playing.
Yeah, that's correct.
But there are lots of Indians, and Okay. I don't think there are any Chinese players here in Rilton.
I don't think so. I don't think so. No.
But there are quite a number of Indian players.
There is, yes.
And they are very strong.
So
if you're asked, do you think an Indian player will win this? Would you say yes or no?
I think that the chances are 50-50.
Yeah, I would say something like that.
Yes.
Okay, let's see this game. So here we have one of the young Indian guys, Raya Ritwik, grandmaster, 19 years old, against veteran almost, I would say, FIDE master Selim Sitak from Turkey. And we'll see, there was a D4 opening here, D5, classical game.
Yes.
Okay, again. The Catalan,
I said it's not so popular on the top, but maybe I should take it back.
Yeah, things change fast.
Yes, that's right, these days.
And he also takes on C4.
Okay.
Okay, bishop G2. But here we see another approach. We saw C5 from Kaido, and here we see the A6, which is another idea. The idea, of course, is to threaten to keep the pawn. And white can stop this in different ways. But if you play a4, of course, then you weaken the b4 square, and
Yep.
there is some negative sides to that.
Yeah.
So instead, he went for another idea here, knight e5.
Because you could say that with a6, black is ready to start to protect the pawn on c4.
Yeah.
So white needs to do something, either get activity or pressure for the loss of the pawn, or try to win it back as soon as possible.
Yeah, there are different ways to do it. I mean, white could play a pawn sacrifice and just sort of don't care about it and just play in the center and so on. Or he can do something more direct, like he did in this game. So a6, knight e5. And now he's ready to take on c4. And black cannot, of course, protect, because after b5 you lose the rook, which is quite nasty. So black played check here. Knight c3. Knight d5. Counterattack.
Very tough play, actually. So what black is trying to do now is actually, I think black is playing for grabbing the pawn.
Yeah.
Because normally what you do is that you closes the long line, the diagonal from g2 to a8, preparing for b5. So it's a tough play now, because you put pressure on c3, and the question is, of course, how white should react. Because,
Well, you could play something, let's say, conservative here, like bishop d2 would be the most obvious move, right?
Yes.
Something like this, just to put the bishop here. But then, of course, black gains some time, and I don't know. Maybe you could even do this now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that this is certainly playable for white.
Or you take on c3 with the bishop first, and then.
Yeah, you could also take here. Yeah, also possible. Both are possible.
And then b5.
Yeah.
Could be. And that you will have a completely different type of game.
Yeah.
Because,
but now white goes in turbo mode here and sacrifices. So he played castles.
Yeah, in a way it's logical, I think, because white has, the advantage of white is, of course, that he's ahead when it comes to development, and you want to use that. And if you hesitate, black might have a good chance to equalize the game. So in that sense, but of course, then you need to be ready for this type of positions where you are sacrificing and ready to play actively, even though you will have less material. So okay, so what will happen now? What are the choices?
He took. Well, I mean, I guess he could maybe
castle.
He could take, or he could castle. There are many moves black can play here.
Yes.
So it's just a question of what do you want to do. But he was very greedy here, actually, black. He took.
And this is, of course, very interesting, because after b takes c3, I guess you must play that. Bishop takes c3. Then you actually threatening both on a1 and on d4.
Yeah.
So you have problems here with white, how to defend, because if you rook to b1, queen take d4.
Well, in the game it was rook b1. He could take with the queen, but he actually took with the bishop. But let's see what happens if you take with the queen. What's happening here? Yeah, I guess you check, right? Maybe something like this, because after b5, you could actually take there. Move like this. Maybe you can even do this.
Yes, or maybe queen a3 even.
Maybe also queen a3.
Because now you are threatening to take on a8 and rook a7, bishop e3.
Yeah.
So it's also
maybe black could take here and say,
of
well,
course
okay,
you have.
let's.
But my idea was that you actually have the black king in the center. So very sharp game.
This is the type of thing you want to have prepared at home.
Yes, for sure. With computers on and using the cloud and all the help you can get.
But he chose a different line. I'm just guessing that this must be preparation. But he took here, and white took c4, and he castled.
Okay,
so
2 pawns down.
So now we have a pretty clean position. There is nothing much going on. I mean, there's a bishop takes b7 thing going on, and I mean, there are moves, of course, happening. But it's still quite positional. It's not really a tactical battle right now.
No.
It's of course about tactics in the end, but right now there's a question: where do you put the pieces? How do you
But the thing
get
is,
compensation?
I would say that is the first question. Is of course how do you get back your pawn? If you
2 pawns.
yeah, 2 pawns, because after bishop take b7, bishop take, rook take, moves like queen d5 or something like that can be a little bit annoying, because you do not really want to get rid of your bishop on g2. That's
But should we look at that? Just see what
something
happens?
like that. It's at least you have to.
Let's say we take here, and this is pretty forced.
And there I don't know, because he can maybe take on c7, but I just thought it looked dangerous, but I don't know. This is a very sharp position, and where you have different possibilities as black here.
My guess would be that you
Knight c6,
play
yeah.
something like this, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, probably. And then e3 will get the pawn back, because you can take on as d8 and then, or maybe bishop f6. Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe some counterplay. I don't know. Is that possible? Maybe now you can take on d4.
Yes, and then take on c7 again.
Something like this. What's happening here?
Rook ac8 maybe.
Well, I think the problem with this position...
black is better in this
I
position.
think the position is better for black because white's
Yep.
bishop is not good here. You can put it here,
I agree.
something like that, but then you're just protecting here and you're protected from here, but you have all the weaknesses, and maybe this knight will end up, in the end, it will be on this square here.
Yeah, of course, it's clearly better for black.
So
okay, so this is not an option.
Yeah. So in the game, there was bishop takes, let's see, it was bishop takes d4, knight c4, castles, and he actually took knight c6.
Is this
no,
the game?
no,
This is our
sorry.
analysis,
No,
I
this
guess,
is our, this is not the game. No, I don't think he will take.
No.
We took just to see, and we see that black has no problems then. So the real problem for white is to prove that he has play for 2 pawns.
But you can also start with bishop a3 maybe, because c5, then you play e3.
Yeah, c5 then e3. Yeah.
And rook e8. At least you have gained. That a piece, one more piece is developed. That should be to your advantage.
Yeah, of course you can try to take now, but I don't think that changes so much. It will be about the same. The bishop is not much better on a3 than on c1.
So the question is, should you play like queen b3 in this position?
Yeah.
And go for rook d1 with the threat on rook d1? Because if you can
or
take
queen c2 maybe.
Yeah, maybe also. My idea was that if you can take on the queen on b7, bishop take on b7, queen take on b7, it will be more threatening and taking away the knight to c6. But the main threat
Queen
is
b3.
actually rook d1, I think,
Yeah, some queen move, but let's look at it. What happens? Queen b3 looks decent. And maybe rook d1. I mean, this looks promising. Maybe it's a preparation because white has played fairly quickly here.
Because knight c6, maybe rook d1 is a bit, it's. I would be a little bit nervous actually, because you're threatening to take on c6 and e3 and this type of stuff.
And if the queen goes to f6 or something,
e3 is simple.
you play e3 and then when you take on b7, it's much worse because the queen is not protecting c7.
Exactly.
And then probably white should be better. So this looks pretty good for white.
At least compensation, you could say. Because when you play black in this type of positions, there is, either you try to, just to grab the material and keep it, or of course you can sacrifice it back to, get free.
Yeah, there is actually a game here I see that has been played in this position, where white started with e3. Which is just a move, and then you can move I guess.
But I think queen b3 is tougher actually, because then you threaten to play rook d1. It looks better to me, but okay.
Yeah. I would also think maybe queen c2 with the idea of also keeping some, if you let's say you go here
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some things also on this diagonal. Maybe it could be at some point you know maybe you put the bishop here. Maybe this bishop falls back at some point. You know, there are many ideas.
Yeah, the problem is also for black is how to develop your pieces. Yeah, there is not really clear to me, you know, it's not obvious where to put the pieces. The bishop on c8 will be a problem, most likely for some time, if white does not take on b7. So there will be compensation, I guess, you know, for white for a long time. It's more a question of when to cash back some of them.
Maybe black should play this move at some point.
Maybe.
Because then you, at some point, maybe you can threaten to get your piece. But I don't like to play positions like this with black.
No.
I hate it.
No, also because e5, then you can play e3 and you can take on d8 and take on e5, and you might have, you know, some.
No, this is not nice. I don't like it.
Okay.
I predict that this will be a very tough fight.
Yes.
Because this is not going to be a draw.
No.
So let's go further here. We have. A game between Yair Parkov. Is he from Israel? Was that the case? Yair,
yes, I think so.
Israeli.
Yes, I think so. If I remember
almost
correctly.
2,500 rating, international master.
Mm-hmm.
Also playing against the FIDE master Brilei Yaka. We have to check who that is.
Mm-hmm.
So we go back to round 2 here. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a guy. Is it from Serbia or what? What is this?
Isn't that Czech Republic?
Is that the Czech?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. No, it says Poland Federation.
No. That is the opponent.
Ah, yeah. That was the other player. Okay.
Yeah.
But Parkov Jair
is from Israel.
Yeah, but this is a young guy.
Yep.
He's 20 years old. He's a FIDE master.
Yep.
23-48. He's from
Slovakia.
No, Slovenia.
Slovenia. Okay,
Isn't
I'm sorry.
Isn't SLK Slovakia?
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I'm not
sorry.
I'm not claiming anything. I'm just.
No.
I would say Slovenia, but.
Yes. Okay. I'm embarrassed. I should know this because I've been to Slovenia several times actually to give courses.
You cannot
like
go
that,
back if you don't get this right.
Okay. I feel that.
It's tough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that was this, and then we have the Parkov guy. Let's check him. Also a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
International master, 24.95, and he's 21. And so we have a real fight here between two young and, as far as I can see, very strong players. No, sorry, this was wrong. There. And what do we have?
Yes, a bit strange position of the knight on e3. That is the first thing that comes to mind. But on the other hand, white has got some pressure on the b5 pawn. That can be a weakness in the future. So I think we have a sharp position.
Let's see how this happened, because it was e4, and then we have the C3, the Alapin line. And of course black has many options here. Knight f6 is very popular. E6 is possible. I think we saw that yesterday, right? There was some French. Then you can get into the French. And that was with knight f3, right? Knight f3.
Yes, to trick,
E6,
to force it.
Yeah, right. And here we see the clean d5, d4, e6. There are also alternatives here, of course.
Knight f6,
knight
bishop
f6,
g4.
yeah, bishop g4, and so on.
Yes, but e6 is a solid move.
Solid. And now knight a3 and a6, I think is standard. Knight c4, knight d7.
Yep.
Bishop e2, b5, knight e3.
Oh, here we are, of course.
Yeah. And now queen takes.
That's a surprise, isn't it? Queen.
Well, I guess he's a bit afraid of knight d4 followed by bishop f3, maybe, if you take with some piece.
But I think both knight takes c5 or bishop c5, to my eye, it should be the right way to continue. This is strange to me to take with the queen on c5. Yeah. Really strange, but okay. I cannot believe. My guess is they are out of theory already in this position.
Yeah, because there are no games with this.
Okay, I see. I'm sorry, I'm not following as good as you with
there are games in the Lichess database, which has like 4 billion games or 8 billion games or something like that.
And it's already on their own. Okay, but let's see. But from a logical point of view, of course, you want to play bishop takes c5. Is logical to bring out the bishop and so on. But of course, the danger might be knight d4.
I don't know if it's a danger, but it might also be that he has another idea of. I don't know. Sometimes you see ghosts also. This is a famous thing. You see ghosts. So it might be some ghost.
But knight takes c5 also more normal to take with the queen, because
it's unusual. I agree with you.
Strange, because normally you do not want to have the queen on c5. If you do this type of move, you normally do it because this is the square where the piece wants to go to. But for sure, the queen will normally go to c7 in this type of position rather than go to c5. So I'm a bit surprised of that move.
I agree with you. So which would you choose if you were
the
commander of the black pieces?
If it was a blitz game, I would have played bishop takes c5 in less than a second, I guess. If I started to see ghosts, like you say, I probably start to evaluate knight takes c5, because the knight is also quite good on c5 with different options, and not the least, it rules out a4. That could be, because one question here is, of course, is where white should play, on what side. And actually, with a knight,
I think it's on the queen side.
Exactly. With a knight on e3, because normally in this type of positions, white go for a king's side attack or something like that. But here it's not possible due to the knight on e3, I guess. So then a4 is a key move for white to create something on the queen side.
I also think so. I think he was afraid maybe to even b4 at some point, and c4 and a4, some shots.
Yeah.
And he wants to keep all options, and maybe after c4 he would like to play b4. This could be a reason for the queen move.
Okay.
And I don't think we can criticize this too much.
No.
Original play, we like that.
Okay.
So castles, bishop b7.
And a4, yeah.
a4.
This is the logical follow-up.
And he wants to have the bishop on e7, fine. Take.
Yes, and
take.
And queen to b3, I guess.
Now he moves the knight back here. And that's quite logical. You want to get the bishop out. Maybe you want the knight to d4.
But also you rule out b4.
Yeah, also.
The weakness is on b5, so what you do now is that, and you get out with the tempo. Yeah.
But now he can actually take on b5, right?
Yes, but then probably, then we have an interesting position after rook b8,
Yeah.
And it's, if you take on d7, knight take d7, it's not so easy to protect, how to protect the b2 pawn.
Interestingly, we actually have a game now. We have sort of transferred over to a game between
the good
Mammadov and Abbasov. Abbasov is the new hero of Azerbaijani chess, right?
Yes.
Because he's playing the candidates tournament.
Exactly.
And this was in 2015.
Yes.
And he was 25-30, and then he was black in this position and played a draw against Mammadov, who was also a strong player.
Yes, exactly. So they were young by then.
Two young guys. And they got this position, and to me it looks like very likely draw. I mean, white can take on b5, but as you said, you can immediately attack on the b file, and these white pawns are very weak, so probably this is quite good chances for a draw here.
Yes,
not the most exciting game. Let's go to the next game.
Yeah.
Here we have a guy with an almost same name as this Raya Ritvik. Here we have Ritvik. Krishnan Ritvik.
Okay.
FIDE master, I guess from India. We have to check it out. So let's go. And we have FIDE master. A very young guy.
He's 2007.
Only
16.
16 years old, yeah. FIDE master with a 23-46 rating. Strong player. And he plays against the French grandmaster Pierre Baillet.
Yes.
And I guess he's a young guy too.
No.
I was wrong.
We were checking this yesterday, actually, Tom.
We did check this guy?
Yes,
Wasn't it another guy? No?
Well, I don't think so.
Okay.
But it's anyway, he is the old generation, but a bit unknown to us anyway.
Yeah, he's still a young guy in my eyes.
Yes.
Okay, he was born in 1988.
Yes.
So he is, he will be something like...
Don't calculate too much.
No, don't calculate. But I would still say that he is like 35.
Good. Let's say that.
Is that correct?
Let's say that, yes.
Around that,
Yes.
that ballpark.
But anyway...
Not an old guy.
No.
I remember when I started playing chess, and I read in these old books, it said that the best time for a chess player is around 35 years old.
Yes, but that was...
That was then. That was in the 1800s.
Then it's been 15 years, that has dropped down 15 years to 20 or something like that, probably.
Soon they would say at 12 you're the best,
We'll see.
Yeah, it will come. Anyway,
no, the reason for that, and that is actually something we discussed also, if we take it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
In the old days, when there were not so much sharing of information through internet and so on, you could compensate for the lack of ability to calculate, because we know that the ability to calculate will go down from 21 years old or something like that. But you can compensate that with experience, and that's why they said that this balance was when you were at 35 or something like that. But these days, you can get experience at a very young age by playing online, looking at all the games, and so on. So all of these young players, even though they are like 13 or 12 or something like that, they already have a lot of experience so we older guys, we cannot compensate in the same way as
they have
before.
more experience than we have.
Yeah,
because
probably.
they have played like a million games on the internet.
On 1 minute games, yes. Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. Anyway, let's look at this game. So we have the young Krishnan playing white against the seasoned, at the best age possible, 35 years old, Pierre Baillet, grandmaster.
Yes.
Not so well known, but most likely a strong player because he has almost 2,500 in rating.
Of course.
So we have E4 from the young Indian guy.
Yep.
And we see an opening we have seen before here.
Yes, the Italian.
Yeah, the Italian game.
Mm-hmm.
And here we say bishop c5, which can lead over to the same type of position. But we will see a small difference here because now we have the pawn here. Mm-hmm. And in the other game that we checked, we had the knight there.
Yes.
So this is a big difference, actually. Mm-hmm. Makes up for a lot of different plans and different ideas. Because now white is much more focused on doing either this or this.
Yes.
So we have a much more pawn-centered game than if you played knight to c3 and move your pieces around.
Yes.
So let's see what happened. Okay, d6, very logical. Mm-hmm. Castles.
And now he outruled this possibility of...
Yeah, the point here is that black would like to go here, but now we have this check. And after c6 we can sort of run away. And we hide it down here.
And you even threaten to play b4.
And now suddenly this is a threat, this is a threat. And white is getting everything he wants. Because he wants to play moves like maybe put the rook... He might want to go with the rook here, and this knight might want to jump over here and come here. And, all these plans you go for in this. This is almost like a Relopes, a Spanish game.
Yeah.
Anyway, a6, and white played a4. In the old days, like 5 years ago, they used to play bishop b3.
Yes.
And hide here immediately. But that is not popular anymore. So now instead we play this move, a4, which is very popular.
Also, it's not only that you outrule b5, but you're also ready to, after b4, to take some, action on the queen side.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's logical. But on the other hand, one important question is on what, on what side to play. And with this bishop on c5, and we also saw the other ideas that, with g5 and so on, white has got a signal to play on the queen side. So maybe black should do something to go for the king side in this position.
Yeah.
But first, bishop a7. Yes, okay.
Yeah. This is sort of prophylactic because if d4 comes, well, then you have more options than if your bishop is also threatened.
Or b4 as well. Yeah.
And also sometimes it's good to wait a little with the castling. Sometimes you can go for some fast action on the king's side. Shouldn't be excluded. It's a possibility. Okay, so rook e1. And he plays h6. Knight bd2. And now I think you can actually play g5 if you want to. It's definitely a move.
Yes.
It's a little bit risky because white has this d4
or knight
counter.
f1, or knight f1 and go for the square of f5 and so on.
Yeah.
Because one big difference when we looked at it in the other game was that h3 was played.
That's a big. This is a big difference. If this is played, then you always have this break here with g5 and g4.
Yes.
Creating a clash.
Yes, and much more attractive, of course.
Yeah, much more attractive. So g5 here is probably not so good, and he played castles, which is very cannot be so. And now white can play h3. There's no risk anymore.
No, okay. Yeah.
No g5 coming. And now we see an interesting idea here, knight h5. Yeah.
And what about knight take on e5? Is that possible?
Yeah. I think it's possible, but I'm not sure it's good.
No, me neither. But
we'll have to check it out. So let's see. Let's go.
What is happening here?
Yeah, we have to check. It's bad. Yeah.
It's bad?
Yeah.
Yes,
actually,
I see now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's well. Actually, you have different options. You can either play queen here.
Yeah, that's the trick. You could say.
Yeah. But there is actually another way to play also. You can actually take here also if you want to. And then queen check.
Just to protect the h5 knight, that is the point. Because quite often this is a trick with a rook on f1. Yeah. Then you can take on e5 and so on. But now, this is the problem is that the f2 pawn is too weak to make this trick. So okay, then you have to do something else. So knight f1 is the move. Yes, great. I thought so.
Yeah, my experience is that black can get quite a nice attack here.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
No, you have to watch out, of course.
So knight f1, queen f6, putting pressure down here. So X-ray they call it.
And not the least, because you want to play knight f4, of course. But then if the queen was on d8, white will take on f4 and play d4 with a good position. But with the knight, with the queen on f6, then you have the chance to put the knight on f4, and the bishop takes, then queen takes f4.
Yeah.
So
if we just show this here, white
takes
take without any
d4,
problem, and play this.
And the bishop on a7 is outruled, and you have a weakness on f4 as well. So
then you get this problem with the bishop. Where do you go with this guy up here? It's just standing behind everything and not doing anything. So that's a very bad idea. So instead we saw queen f6, bishop e3. And now
which is a logical move, of course, bishop e3, because you want to take away this dangerous bishop on a7, hitting down on f2. So, yeah.
And now he could have exchanged, but he went for d4.
And that's an interesting move.
And now we got this move that we've been talking so much about, g5.
But the thing with d4, we saw it in the other variation when you took on f4. Yeah. It is that one problem now is the bishop on a7, that it's not taking part in the game. But on the other hand, what is happening is that black can continue with the attack on the king's side. Right. So the question is now, to how to deal with this situation for white. Yeah. Because h5 and g4 will come quickly. Sometimes there are sacrifices on h3. And that's why for example, you cannot play like a queen d2. That is a normal move, because then you can take on h3 and the knight is hanging on f3.
Let's show that. Yeah. This is typical. Right now the queen protects this knight. But if we play the queen here, suddenly we can just take here.
Yes.
And this
and now it's very good. Now it's more or less falling apart.
It's falling apart.
You even threaten to take on e4 maybe,
But Above all, you're trying to just
take on h3, of course.
Take down here, and
Yes.
then you go with the queen here.
Yeah, correct.
So this is not nice. So
Okay.
So in this situation after g5, we have a very tense game. And interesting, if we look
This is a very interesting game. I think,
if we look at this dreaded evaluation bar, we see that
Mhm.
it gives white the clear advantage.
yes,
Yeah,
but the question is how.
but when you sit in a position like this with white, you look at all these: take on h3, take on g2, play g4, play h5, play king h8, rook g8. You look at all these things and you feel quite miserable. At
One of the
times.
idea that I thought about was to take on e5
Yeah.
and then take on a7 and put the knight on e3 to stop g4.
Yeah, I think you have to think in those terms here. Something like that should be played.
Because you really need to deal with g4. This move is dangerous to come. So you need to find something here, I guess.
Yeah.
But of course, knight g3. What is happening then? Will he play after knight g3? Will he play g4 immediately?
I don't know. Let's try it. So knight g3, okay. Well, if I was playing this with black, I would be looking at maybe to move the king
To
play
h8.
rook g. That would be one idea. You cannot really play bishop d7 because then you always take on e5 and you have some problems with the bishop. So you cannot. You want to include the bishop.
Yeah, that's why I thought about g4, but I'm not sure.
These two pieces are not doing anything. So this is a problem. But if we do this move bishop d7 here at some point, like here, unfortunately there is this taking here, and
he will take that.
and you cannot. It's a little bit problematic.
Yes, because the bishop is hanging.
The bishop is hanging up here. The queen is looking at the bishop.
That's right.
So we have this little problem, and that's the type of thing you look at. If you, let's say you could solve that problem and you could get your rooks to the g file, but I think maybe you would play some move like this with the idea of
Rook
getting
g8,
this
of
here,
course, yes.
and then just
That's a possibility, of course.
and you don't even have to calculate this.
No.
You can just look at it. Yeah, I get one more piece into the attack. That's good.
But I also think that one thing with this position is, even though it might be that white has got a way to deal with this attack, it's also so simple for black to play because you have this very straightforward plan, and it's white who need to be always on the toes just to find out how to cope with these threats.
I mean, even this move, I don't know what's happened if you play
I just thought it was interesting because sometimes just to play this.
No, he didn't play queen d2.
No, it was g4 and.
No, we played knight g3. This was the move we looked at. So
yes.
I don't know. Let's say you played g4. What happens? Is this bad? Probably maybe it's not so dangerous. I don't know. But this also looks, what's happening here? It's quite complex. And now we've managed to solve the bishop's problem. Now we can move the rook. So this rook could come into play.
Yeah.
It could go here or maybe even go here. Doesn't look too bad. I know that the computer says here
Something else, yes.
it says that you should go knight f5 and just
But this
play.
is not an easy move to play.
This is not because you're sacrificing a pawn.
Yeah.
And what is going to happen? Well, very complex, and you have to calculate. And usually people don't want to sacrifice pieces or pawns.
No, that's right.
And it's not like you get an immediate attack. It's more like you're slowly sort of eroding black's grip on the king side, and finally maybe you get your pieces out and you get a good game. But in practice, I would say it's not easy. So I think g4 is not a bad move in practical
No,
play.
but I think that in a way you are right, that one rule, like you also said yesterday, is to invite all your friends to the party.
Right.
And right now, the f8 rook can get into play from g8, and then the push g4 will be much more dangerous.
Yeah.
So in that sense, just to build up your position, to make it, threatening even more before you start to force stuff is normally a good idea.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yes.
But I would still be tempted with g4 because I would
Yes.
like to get the bishop out, get the rook out, and so on.
Put pressure.
And I think if I had this position with black,
I would.
I would feel quite confident actually, even though the computer gives, as we can see on the evaluation
Another
bar,
one.
gives an advantage to white. But I think white needs to find much more difficult moves.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
also the evaluation of the attack. You know, because this is easy to get scared. You know, with this nice knight on f4.
We
and
always
so on.
overestimate.
Yes.
When we attack and also when we defend. I mean, it's easy. Anyway, I think we should jump.
Yes. We should.
So now we go and we have a look at Vitaly Sivuk.
Yes.
Our Ukrainian Swedish
Champion.
Grandmaster champion. Yeah.
This is a strange position.
This is very strange. We have to see how this happened.
Yes.
So it starts with d4, of course. Knight f6, c4, e6, and now bishop g5. I don't even know. Yeah, this is the Jesper Serewan attack. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
The Jesper Serewan, but this h6. I don't know this line at all.
Yeah, I know that this is the Serewan. He invented it a long time ago,
Okay.
way back.
And it is playable.
It is playable, but it's not very popular.
No.
It's not considered to be much of a challenge. But it's another line.
But h6 must be the move, isn't it?
Well, I think there are options here. You can do many things.
That just means that if you move away the bishop, to h4, then bishop b4 starts to be. You have to watch out at least.
Right. And also you have these ideas playing c5 when queen comes to b6 or a5 or whatever. Yeah, I think that's the big weakness with this. I think bishop g5. I mean, if black plays d5, then you can play knight c3 and you have a queen's gambit.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, there are very, very much. Very different variations where you can, link into more classical lines, but h6 is a way to try to punish this little bit strange.
Just gonna check this opponent. Who is this guy? Bennett Hagner from, I think it's a young guy, and I was right.
2008.
We have
oh my God,
15-year-old guy from Baden-Baden.
From Germany.
He's a FIDE master.
That's very promising, I think. That's good.
Quite interesting guy, and So let's see.
So let's see if it's experience or energy that is the key in this game.
h6 was played.
Good.
Bishop h4. And now, as you said, bishop b4 check. Knight d2. g5.
Yes.
Bishop g3. And knight e4.
Yes.
That's the spirit.
Yes.
Knight f3.
Yes.
And now if you play g4...
Yeah, what is happening then?
That's the question.
a3 or?
Yeah, something like that. You have to... you attack the bishop. You don't win a piece. Black does not win a piece.
No, let's show it. Yeah.
Let's show it. Now this looks almost like I would like to resign, because if I move the knight like going here, then there is a complete catastrophe.
Then you can resign.
Then I can resign. Then the game is over. But there is actually, bishop d2. But in this position, there is a tricky little move here, as you said, a3. You attack the attacker. And
now you need to react, because if you take on d2, knight take d2, you're out of it. And actually, this g4 move has not impressed anyone, because it will be a weakness.
Yeah, white can play h3.
So this is simply a good position for white. And the bishop a5, then you play b4, take on f3, take on a5, take on g2, bishop takes g2, and this looks good for white as well.
It just falls apart.
Okay.
It falls apart. So he played h5.
Okay.
The idea is now he wants to trap the bishop.
Yes.
So he wants to go here. Then when the bishop goes here, you hit it with f6.
Yes.
And it's trapped.
Yes.
So this is a little bit nasty. And in the game there was queen c2 counterattack.
I see. The point is, of course, also that bishop knight take d2, knight take d2,
H4.
Bishop take d2.
Let's show it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, take,
Mm-hmm.
take, and we go for this.
Okay, and then, yes, h4 and bishop e5.
Yeah. It goes here. It's a bit slow with the computer, and it has to go to the go to the center and back. But if you go here, unfortunately, f6, there is a move.
Queen g6, yeah.
Yeah, the queen comes in here. Check. And
so the trick is in this position, if it is black to play, and if black plays bishop take on d2,
you have to take with the king, I guess.
Then you have to take with the king. But then you have the pair of bishops. I'm not so impressed by these pawn moves on the king's side. So even though you're taking with the king on d2, soon it can be like a long castle with rook d1 or king c1, and you will have a lot of other strengths in your position. So, but you need to take with the king on d2.
So, but but black played it in a different manner here.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop takes,
Mm-hmm.
and after knight takes, he took the bishop.
But this looks good for white.
Yeah, this looks horrible.
But what has black?
This is a collapsed opening.
Yeah, this was really, really bad play.
Yeah, this was horrible.
Because what is happening now is that white has managed to develop his knight to d2, queen to c2, and open up h file. You are ready to take the center, and you have a weakness on h5. Well,
I think Jesper Serwan, if he sees this game ever, he will say, "Yes, that was the idea."
Yes, that's why I invented this line.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's you bait your opponent to chase this bishop.
Yes,
and in the end, he has just destroyed his position
perfectly. He tried to punish you, and you punished back.
Yeah,
and we look at the clock. You can see also on the clock that Vitaly has only thought about 15 minutes, but the opponent has already thought 45. So yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you sort of wing it. You just make moves, one move threats, and you haven't really thought it all through. And I don't know what he missed, but we can go back and look at this because it was quite, I would say, instructive to see. Because of course he's tempted by this. He was tempted.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and you said it immediately. You start looking for bishop b4 and so on.
Yeah, of course. No, because that's what you do.
Yeah. But we can see that this position has been played many times before. This is not a new position. There are many games with very strong players that has played this, and this has also been played. But the h5 move has not been played that much. And queen c2 seems to be
that's obviously a good move.
But now he makes a strange decision because he takes on d2 with the bishop and on knight on d3.
I would have taken on d2 with a knight and then played d6 or something. No, you cannot actually, because then it's a check on.
I would take like this.
And here, try to find a good move here.
And maybe some knight c6 or something, because this is always a threat at some point. But maybe white is still better. But this is more,
it looks,
But instead we had this bishop takes. And we have this position, and after some moves here, d5.
Is this the game?
Yeah, this is the game. Knight d5, queen c3. We see already big problems here on the diagonal, and we have pressure here. So this is the problem with all this.
Exactly.
He has completely destroyed the pawn formation without getting anything. d6, f4, knight g6, e3, e5, bishop d3. Yeah, I mean the game is not over; it's still on. But I would say that it's
clearly better for white.
Clearly better. Yeah.
I mean, you threatened to take on g6 and take on e5.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Knight can go to e4 at some point, putting pressure.
Okay. This will not be funny for the young German player.
What do you say? Should we go back and
let's go back. Yes,
just to see what has happened.
I agree. Yeah.
we don't have to look so much. We can just have a look at what's going on here.
Yeah, here we have here we have this kind of interesting structure that sometimes arises.
I think we were here when we left it. We can just move some pieces because this is quite easy to understand. Black, if he allows knight takes c4, is white has a very nice position, right? Because he has the d6 square. So try to destroy some of the position. Yeah.
And now you have a position that sometimes arises, because we said that one of the things with this position is that it can be very symmetrical.
Yeah.
But with this sacrifice, there's something else.
Yeah.
And quite often it's a question if this, because what white will get as a compensation for the bad pawn structure with an extra island and a single pawn on c3, is that you have the open b file.
Yeah.
And also, that the bishop on g2 is much stronger than its colleague on c8.
Right.
So here will be a little bit of a fight between different advantages, and I think that it will be an interesting battle. I don't think that white is worse in any, at least
No.
So white should be quite happy with this.
I think white has maybe a little bit of an advantage here. I would rather take white, I think.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I can see that maybe 10 moves from now, maybe white has a weak pawn on c3 and black has a knight on c4 or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
You can imagine this going south for white.
But, I mean, if you are the stronger player, what you want, you do not want a completely symmetrical position, because then you will have very little to play
You need
on.
something to play against.
Yes,
yeah.
and here at least you have these differences when it comes to strategy, but also, plans for how to play. So I think that Kaido in that sense is not too sorry for what has happened here.
So they have played a few more moves. c4 came, not unexpectedly. Bishop d7, bishop b2, rook f8, rook ac1.
Wait.
Yeah.
Here you after bishop d2, rook c8. Here you could take on f6 and d7.
Yeah, but then you lose a1.
Yeah, but knight take back.
Yeah. And then some strong move, knight a5 maybe.
I just say that this could be. What about that position? Because I think that's interesting. I just at least I want to see what is happening.
Yeah, we're going to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Rook d7. The computer is thinking, or the internet is thinking. There it came. Now we take here, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And knight took back.
Knight takes here. And then I think we will see some knight move, like knight a5 maybe, I don't know.
But knight a5, knight
b3 maybe.
e5 and knight b3. What about that?
Yeah. Maybe rook d8 actually. This is you force a trade of rooks.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a good plan?
Well, I don't know. I guess so. But here, take
because then when white has no rook anymore, then
yes,
then it's very difficult to play for white.
So I can understand that Kaido wants this, but I thought knight c2 after rook d8 was my idea. And what is this like?
Yeah, but then you move the rook in and you start attacking with the knights.
Yes, but well, the knight on e1.
This I want to play with black. I want to be black.
No, I agree. But normally you say that two pieces are better than a rook. But
you
like
need to have a rook. So
the activity is very important,
and
also you have a weakness on c4. So this is also a typical position that you want to play as a stronger player against a weaker player, and that he will make this kind of judgment to go for this.
So this is smart play.
Smart played. Yeah.
So in this position, rook ac1, that shows that the white player is not going for some simple tricks.
No, that's right.
He knows what he's doing.
Yes.
So bishop e8,
exactly. I thought so.
Classical move.
Mm-hmm.
And knight d4, and knight takes. And this is actually the position. So they have been playing not so fast.
No.
And I still think that we are in a fairly equal game.
Yes. How do you play here?
If you take with the knight, I guess you could play rook a b8. If bishop takes,
bishop c6.
I think bishop c6.
Yeah, bishop c6.
Because you have this problem with rook b8. You have a7 hanging, so you have to.
Yeah, but also what you want is to trade off your bad bishop on e8 against the dominant piece on g2.
This pressure here is the Catalan curse or whatever it's called.
Yes.
And everything is circling around this. So if you can exchange that, usually there is no big problem.
Well, I think I would play knight takes on d4. That looks, to my eye, normal, you know.
Yeah,
and if,
keep the pressure.
And rook b8, maybe. Can you play knight b5?
Maybe knight b5, yeah.
So you're threatening on a7 and bishop e5 and a little bit like that.
Yeah, it could be a situation where you get the pair of bishops, but you still have the c pawn that is slightly weakened, and somehow it could be.
I still think that, you know, black needs to play some good moves here to equalize fully, because it seems like white has got some pressure here. So, but if this is happening, well,
it's fairly equal. I think we will leave it and we go to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is our Italian game. And we need to go back to see where we were.
Yes.
We had this knight a4 plan.
Yes.
Bishop b6
a3.
and a3. I think this was the position actually.
Yes.
And now Theodor from Rockaden in Stockholm, local player.
Yes.
He played bishop e6.
Yes. This is quite a common idea in these type of positions. Because if the white bishop takes on e6, f take e6, the question is good or bad, but you know, at least the pawn is moving towards the center, and that is one rule. Always, if you capture, take towards the center. And also, do not forget the f file gets opened, so you can have some tricks on the f file.
It's interesting because this type of exchange has been sort of re-evaluated, because I would say that if you go back like 30 years or something, this was considered to be basically good for black. But now suddenly people are saying, well, but this pawn formation in the center is actually a bit static. And if black plays d5, then e5 gets weak. So he cannot do anything with his pawns, and white can always try to prod with d4 at some point and get an advantage. And people are evaluating the flexibility of white's position more than this f file that you mentioned.
Yes.
Is that correct?
No. You know, I have the same feeling. I didn't know that it was like a truth, but no doubt I have also seen that there are games that have been played that have surprised me a bit, that they allow this kind of opening of their file. But on the other hand, I haven't seen how black could, you know, make use of it. But then we speak about players on the highest level, of course.
There is this famous game, Caruana against Aronian.
Yes, I was thinking about
Rilton Cup.
Yes.
Where he has a video out on his C squared pod where he goes through it, and he says it's his best game. Caruana, and he allows this exchange, and black has doubled on the f file, but he plays fantastic game and he wins, you know, sacrifices a piece.
I haven't seen the video. I've seen the game. That was
actually
the game I was thinking of, but I didn't see the
no, you should check it because it's very nice. Very nice video actually. So let's see what happened. Well, white exchanged, of course. C3. Interestingly, postponing this inevitable exchange, it doesn't come. Okay, knight e7. Okay, castles. Knight g6. Typical transfer. I don't know if it's typical once you have made this exchange on e6, but without it, it's very common. But I guess it's perfectly fine in this position too. b4, castles, and c4.
The interesting here is that they are actually moving towards this question that we were trying to deal with. You know, how important is it that the f file is opened? Because you know, but it's not totally clear how to move the knights. Where to put the knights? You know, because right now there is this. If you play knight h5 and knight f4 that you would like to play, then I guess you have this idea of taking on e5 most likely.
But it's not so clear because you can take and then you take on d3.
Exactly. So
this is classic.
That could be
so this knight goes here and this knight goes here and so on, and
So a little bit they have some difficult questions to answer in a way with the players here. You know.
Yeah. But there is also, I guess this could be an option.
Yeah.
I don't know how dangerous it is right now, but at some point, maybe you include this first, so you get some pressure on this diagonal. So c5 at least is something you have to think about. So In the game, Black played Queen E7. So he sort of bolstered his center, protects E6, protects C5, and I guess prepares for maybe doubling on the F file. Could be a plan, right?
Of course, Rook F7 and Rook F8.
And so now we see the Pranith playing this move, Rook A2.
A2, okay. That's a bit of a surprise, but maybe it's a good move actually.
Maybe this is part of the whole plan, this whole pawn thing here.
Also, it's interesting because quite often in these type of positions, you do not know where to put your bishop on C1. Should it be on the diagonal A1 to H8? But the problem is that you do not cover up the F4 square. And you do not want to play bishop E3 because simply, Black can take it and you have a symmetrical position that will most likely be a draw, But at least Black is not worse. So and then you play around the bishop. You let it be on C1 and so you can choose later where to put it, So
this is just standing here.
Waiting.
Partly protecting a little bit on the queen side, but also very influential on this diagonal.
Yeah.
And then you move the rook over somewhere here. And maybe all these pawns are coming at some point. Well, it's far off right now, but maybe who knows? Let's see what happened. In the game, Black played C6, and this forces the exchange.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes, more or less.
Because if you're allowed to preserve the bishop here, suddenly you can maybe play D5 because you have... So in the game, there was an exchange. And now
I would play
G3.
G3, interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was G3 or bishop E3.
Yeah.
But okay.
But maybe you said it before. Why not keep the bishop here? Because now you have this pressure down here.
Yeah.
So you can.
No, I agree. Maybe G3 looks because now knight F4 is really in the pipeline, and Black will try to create something. And now you have actually not the same pressure on F2. So after G3, even though it looks like the knight on F3 is a bit loose, with the bishop away from B6, it's not so dangerous, the threat on F2. And maybe the knights get stuck on G6 and F6.
There are some plans, you could move the knight.
Exactly.
Let's see. G3, you could do this. Maybe even play F4, and maybe we have this rook lift.
Yes.
This rover or whatever it's called.
I think that what has happened now is that I think that white is slightly better here. I would prefer to play white now.
Now we can see that the evaluation bar gives a slight advantage.
Okay.
But not really much.
Not
a little
much.
bit.
But I think it would be easier because with this G3 played and the knight on G6 a bit stuck on G6. Black really needs to play some good moves here, and has got some different difficult choices to make. Yeah. Because white has simple plans, like you said, knight H2, maybe king G2, and then at the right, or king H1, and then at the right moment you go for F4 and go with the rook from A2 to G2 and so on. It's like it's easier to play white for me.
I think when you're a human player, you need to have plans. Bent Larsen said you need a plan.
Yes.
And there's some truth to it, because when you can play according to a plan, there will be some logic in your play. But if you try to make computer moves, just like that, it's very difficult to keep it together.
But it's also an old say that if a player, has got all his pieces in the best squares, but they don't do so much, and you do not have any good way forward, then you have problems,
of course.
But because in these type of positions where you have simple moves to make, clear plans and so on, it's much easier for a human being to find the right way forward. So I think this might be the case in our position, that.
But we can also see plans for Black. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Because there is still a plan to double up here.
Yes.
You put this rook here. You go with this behind. Okay, he played Queen F7.
Yeah, also because and one other idea I was thinking about is that after Queen F7, you also have sometimes you can play for D5. Now you're covering up and be ready. Yeah. And there is also
it's perfectly fine. It's another idea.
And the queen can also be ready to go to H5 at a moment.
It also protects H5. So actually now this is possible.
And you're threatening, of course, knight take E4 in the position.
Because after taking here, you take with this knight, and the queen suddenly protects H5.
No, what I mean in the actual position after queen f7, you are threatening to take on e4 and f3.
Well, d6 will fall, so it's not 100% clear, but you have a point. But I mean,
take on e4.
Knight takes.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least it opens up for possibilities. Let's put it this way. Then.
Yeah, it's a threat.
A better way.
He played king g2. So this is a very interesting strategic game. I don't think it's going to be a draw, actually. I think it will be played out. Well, it could be a draw, but it will not be a fast draw because there's so much play in this position.
What I would be afraid of now is knight h5. Just because you are on the, there is this check on f4 at some moments, but...
Yeah. Maybe,
but it's not so.
Maybe knight g5 is a possibility.
Maybe even knight g5, yes.
I'm not sure. It's.
Can you take it with a pawn and then play knight f4 check
and then you win the queen
on h5? That looks good.
True. Yeah. So knight h5 is actually very strong.
I don't know if it's strong, but at least it's a possibility.
Let's look at it. But the only problem is what's the threat, as Bobby Fischer used to say.
No. The thing was that if you play this, what could white do? But maybe white just continue to play a4 or b5, or the question is how to move forward. So you can just wait with white in this position,
Yeah, there are no real threats in this position.
No, because in a way, what has happened now is that black has got a problem with the knight on g6. I think that is one of the problems, because you want to have some kind of check on f4 or something like that, but there is probably not.
As long as white has two pieces that can take there, as long as you don't end up with a knight on f4, I think it's not dangerous.
So that's why I say that one of the problems for black is the knight on g6 and how to make it come to life, Well, okay, let's go back.
But this resembles a little bit this game we talked about between Caruana and Aronian. Aron, he got the doubling on the f file and so on, but there was nothing. He couldn't actually break through.
Yes.
And then suddenly his position was actually a bit static, and he lost the game. But I think we should go to the next game.
Yep.
So now we go to
the Finnish. What was Czech. It? Slovenian?
Was it Slovenian?
Was it Slovenian?
Or was it Czech? Well, it doesn't matter. Anyway.
Okay.
The Central European.
The Central European, that's a good one.
Or Balkan, I don't know. Anyway, so let's go back and see what happened in this game.
That was bishop to take on d7.
There was knight takes. And the knight went to f5. And this was the situation where he was thinking so much.
Yes, and the question was knight b3 or knight f5,
Yeah, or knight b5 or whatever, And he played knight f5, knight c5, as you said, and queen e2. Queen f3 was also possible, but this is certainly fine. What I like, I don't like to go to g3. So the question is if queen f3 is better.
Here... That's why I said that. I was thinking about, exactly. Because if you have to put the knight on g3, it's simply, it's stuck. It's a little bit like the other game with the knight on
queen
g6.
Queen e2 was, but I think we said queen f3 actually.
Yes, exactly.
With the idea of going to e3, because it's so obvious, right?
Yes.
But he plays queen e2, which is, I know why he did it, because he was eyeing, this square up here. He was thinking maybe at some point I will get this check and that will be good, Sometimes you're tempted by things like that.
But if you put
it's a shining object. Check.
Okay. Okay.
So he plays queen e2, g6, and he has to go here. Play.
And now you can see. Look the difference between having a knight on e3 and the knight on g3.
Yeah.
This must be the wrong way of playing, Now I think black, well, I don't say that black is better, but at least, it seems to be no problem really.
Well, it's a little bit awkward. Maybe he can still, in the long run, he can still reroute this and he will come here. So it's not the end of the world, but I agree with you.
It's not heaven.
No. So knight b6.
But here I thought about, can you play, after knight b6,
you mean queen b6 or?
No, queen b6, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you play queen b5 then in that position? has to swap off queens.
Yeah, you can do that. But then and it doesn't hang immediately. But
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But you take.
Yeah, maybe it's not possible.
I don't know. Knight takes.
I just thought, what is the end game like?
Unclear.
It's unclear.
Again, this knight is badly placed here, and I don't think there is.
I thought the f3 or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
But okay.
Maybe knight e6 is a possibility.
Yeah, that's a good move. Yes, probably.
Maybe a6.
Because you are threatening to play also d5, and you will be better. The key is to do not let him play in that type of position d5, because if you can keep that down, you might have still some chances to be better in the end game. But okay.
Anyway.
Okay, I think this is okay for black, so let's go back. He played queen b6,
in
h4.
Yeah, he played h4.
It's a tough game.
But I think it's a logical move. We cannot say anything about that.
Threatens to play g5 and knight e5.
Yeah, he just wants to play g5. He wants to play knight e5. And this might have been his preparation already from the beginning. That I don't need my knight on e3 because I'm going to kick the other knight and then play knight e5.
So what is happening now? Knight e6, I guess.
He played knight e6.
But what about g5 now?
Yeah, and now he played g5. So this is where we are.
And look at the times.
Yeah.
18. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't look very promising, does it?
Our Finnish friend here, Pekka, has used up all his time.
Yes.
And he actually has a slight advantage. It says
Yes.
the evaluation bar. We don't know the actual sort of value of this because sometimes it can be something really strange. You have to go to an ending or you go through mate or whatever it is. We don't know. But it looks like it could be getting a knight to d5 at some point.
Yeah, that's right. He will, I think.
But there is a problem. Black can get a knight to d4, so it's not so simple.
No. Of course not. Okay.
Okay. So they exchanged, and
Because
so Black's queen b6 was maybe because I was thinking maybe he should go a6 or something like that. But maybe that wasn't.
Should you
good.
play knight d4? What is happening then?
Let's see.
Queen to d3 or what? What do you? Because I thought after queen d3, knight g4. Can you play that sharp?
Knight g4. This is very, very complex.
Yes, because now you're threatening to, these type of ideas to take on, there are knight b3 threatening or something like that,
Also things like knight h2 coming to f3.
Yes, exactly.
This type of action
exactly
can be very annoying.
Yeah.
And there is also this idea with the rook coming down here.
Yeah.
And,
so maybe after knight d4 you have to play queen d1. To keep it out.
That's a very good move. I don't think you should allow knight g4.
No, it looked very, very dangerous, actually.
And now you get the knight d5.
Yes.
So this is probably better for white now. Slightly better. I wouldn't give not a big...
But that's a key move, queen
that's
d1. But it's a difficult move to play,
it's very
to
difficult.
go back to your initial position, the starting position of the queen.
But this is such a rich position, so many possibilities and so easy to go wrong.
And you already have much less time.
I predict that we might see some howlers in this game.
Yes.
I think we can get some really...
See if they can break the Tiger's mistake from yesterday.
Yeah. I think there is a big chance because all these knights jumping...
yes, we know about those knights.
Let's go to the next game.
Yes, okay. Good.
Okay, so this is easier to evaluate, but we have to go back and remember again that this started with a very enterprising double pawn sacrifice.
Yes.
And we see it here actually. This was the position.
Yeah.
And white has given 2 pawns for nothing, it seems, but it's not nothing because
it was castle we saw.
Yeah, there was castling.
And then we discussed what white to play, and he played bishop a3, like I think I mentioned.
And then he took the c2. Yeah.
Yes, very very cautious.
Yeah.
just like with idea.
But this was on our radar.
I think I suggested Queen B3 and you Queen C2. So
we find the idea a little bit.
we share our grace.
No, but the idea is of course the same. We want to come with the rook here, and this happens in the game.
But also, I think in one way it's very smart. Because you also know that if you sacrifice some pawns, and in the defense, it's very easy to just look for how the opponent should try to
retreat,
take back the piece, and then just strengthen the position.
Yeah.
So.
But interestingly here,
what did
the computer comes in here and says that after Rook E8, there was a better move here, Rook B3.
Ah. That's a cool move.
Same idea.
Rook D3.
Rook D3 attack on the D file, but without moving the queen. So we gain a move, so to speak.
Yes. Also, so bishop F6. You have Rook D3.
Yeah. But here I would say, from a human perspective,
much easier to play white.
But Queen C2, Queen B3.
Yeah. I agree.
This is typical play. To play Rook here is much more difficult.
Yes.
Even though when you see it, of course.
Yes. That's right.
Why?
That's
what
right.
was I thinking about?
Yeah.
Why didn't I do that?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. But this is how we think, and so Queen C2 was played.
Yeah.
I think still it's a good move.
It's not a bad move, of course.
And 97.
And it's no doubt it's easier to play. It's so much easier to play white in this position.
So 97.
That's a bit strange, actually,
but this is typical when you feel that you are under pressure.
I would have played knight c6 immediatly here. I think.
Yeah, I think knight c6 looks
because
better,
it's it must be on c6, protecting the bishop, and also on d7
just
you're
get
cramped.
Your
you're cramped.
You need activity. Black has pawns. That's not the problem. So he plays knight d7, rook fd1, of course.
Of course.
Given. And now he plays something. That's a
bishop
double
f6.
Double question mark here.
That looks very. I think Queen f6. What wasn't it? What we discussed? At least after knight c6. I think we turn this thing off, just for now, so we can think it's very disturbing with all the computer lines. And let's see where we are. No, if I remember correctly, I think it was Queen f. At least after knight c6 is what Queen f6. So.
Yeah. So Queen f6 looks like a better move. Yeah. Threatening f2.
And then e3.
E3. I think we almost looked at this.
Yeah.
And now maybe, I don't know, bishop c5 maybe, or is...
If you take on d7, and then take on a3, take on c7, well, okay.
No, then you play bishop f8 or something maybe.
But this could be possible.
Could be possible. I don't know if you can go down here maybe.
Yes.
It's a possibility also. But I mean, I prefer white here.
Of course.
Even simple moves like bishop b7 looks good. It looks like you have an advantage because d7 will hang.
It could also be knight
c7.
a5.
Knight a5 also looks very strong.
And then c6, bishop to d6 or something like that. Just to play for.
Yeah. This is strong. So, but in the game there was bishop f6, and now there was a real surprise. Rook takes b7.
Oh, bishop take, rook b8, bishop c6, and you will win the knight, and you have a winning position. This looks really, really strong.
Yeah, this is good.
This was a nice move.
Yeah.
Because if you cannot take it, it is of course much better than to have,
if you're allowed to just go back, let's say to b3, something like this, here, and then you can go here and...
No, but you even have the rook is hanging, and rook a7, you can bishop c5.
Yeah.
So, you have...
It's everything. This is very weak, and...
Yes.
This is weak. This is weak.
This was a very nice move, actually. Rook take b7. It's also typical that you miss this type of moves, I think, because this is obviously something that Black has not seen. Because maybe only calculating with bishop take on b7 or something like that.
Yeah. And now
But this is almost resigning.
yeah, he played bishop e7, and white took, and he came with rook b3, a move we are familiar with. And of course, as you said, you cannot go to b8.
No.
Because it's answered with a
You just take
devastating.
it. Yeah.
And we have this pin on the queen here. So you cannot do that. And the alternative would be to go here.
And then knight e5. Oh my god.
And then this guy comes here. And we have this so-called family fork here.
Yes.
Attacking this, and this.
The mother and two children.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they are children or whatever. Guardians
The
of the
guardians.
queen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this is horrible.
So it's game over. Yes.
So he played c6. You know, but we had the same thing coming here. And I think it's game over. I think it's over. Yeah, he resigned here. Yeah.
If queen c7, take on c6, threatening knight e7, even though the rook will move to e8 to give check,
Take
and the queen is hanging.
and
Okay, so what a crush.
that was a crush.
Okay, so the young Indian
grandmaster
was beating the Turkish.
the Turkey. No, but the Turkish FIDE master. But
Yes.
But this is, I would say, this is a typical case of good preparation versus perhaps not so much preparation.
Yes.
And when if you don't have the line, because the choice of line was made by black. But of course, this is obviously, we can see that there are many games played with this. So you need to really know this.
Yeah.
And it's very forcing. And this knight d5 move has also been played many times. We have 301 games here with this move. So you have to have looked at it.
Of course.
And
if you sacrifice and look at the times,
well,
white is very well prepared.
yeah, he's extremely well prepared. Black is just scooping up material, and he gets to this position, and white is slightly better, but white has also.
But more important is that it's much easier to play.
Yeah, it's much easier, and he has all the time in the world here. He has white has actually not used any time.
Exactly.
But black has used, almost 45 minutes or something like that, maybe more. And yeah, it looks and then we have this queen c2. He makes a slight inaccuracy here. He could play rook b3, but I would say that doesn't matter at all.
No,
because already he has won the game from a moral standpoint, because he has this enormous time advantage, and he knows the position.
but also that every move black is playing is crucial.
Yeah.
You know, you one mistake and you lose immediately, while white has got, you can play a little bit, not the best moves many times and still be better even. So,
You can make a few mistakes, even though actually the evaluation bar gives an equal game at this point. But that's almost impossible. But he has to find the only move here, knight c6. If he had played this move here, then it would still be a game.
Yeah, and rook d1 we were looking at.
Yeah, and you can still.
Still, you have difficult moves to play.
You have to force white to exchange the bishop on c6.
Yes.
You should not be afraid of that, because this is
No. But
the
also because what is happening after knight to c6 is that you outrule both knight e5 and knight a5.
Yeah.
That is much more important, of course.
But he plays this weak move.
Weak move, yeah.
And then rook d1.
And now it's difficult.
And now it's not lost here, but he's clearly worse. And he has to find some nice move here to save himself, but
to survive.
But yeah, probably should play bishop c5 or no, not bishop c5.
Queen f6.
Queen f6 was the move. Yeah, that's the only move. But he played bishop, and now this.
Very nice.
Yeah. Bolt
Punished.
Strike of lightning on b7.
Yes.
And the threat is just to move back.
Yes.
You
cannot take bishop take because knight bishop c6.
We can look at that line because we never checked that. So this. And the threat is, of course, to take the rook, and then you take the knight, and you have a piece up.
Yes.
For just one pawn.
You cannot do anything about that. You can only play rook b8, only move. Huh? And
Yeah.
Queen b8, you take on a8.
Because you cannot protect d7.
No, because a3.
If you play something like this, you just take it, right?
Exactly.
So it doesn't work. So in this position after rook b8, of course, you go here.
Mm-hmm.
So black is going to take on d7.
You will be a piece up.
With a, well, yeah.
No, not piece. Well, almost a piece up immediately.
Probably because you're going to take everything.
Yes.
It's just it's catastrophe.
Mm.
Okay, so we will leave
Let's
this.
move on.
Congratulations to Mr. Raya Rithwick.
Yes.
And here we have this game, and we said that this was going to be a draw, and it looks like it's going to be a draw.
Yes.
Let's go back. So we had this situation here. This was the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And we said that if you take on b5, probably it's there will be rook b8
Quite,
and so on.
yeah.
So in the game it was h3,
Mm-hmm.
rook d8, threatening to play some knight e5, take on f3,
So where to put the queen? Is it
Queen
on
c1.
C1? Okay.
knight e5.
Mm-hmm. No, now it's when you see this, it's time for white to start to look for a draw.
Yeah,
Because black is so active, so you should start to swap pieces and just,
yeah. You have to use the break.
Mm-hmm.
So he played knight e4.
Okay. But why stop. Why did he take there? Why not? Aha, it's threatening on b5.
And now he can take it. With the knight, I think it's different.
Mm-hmm.
So he went for the
Okay.
exchanges.
Then, okay, and b4.
Well, he played knight
Okay,
e5, actually.
yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
b4.
Wait. And here you take on, okay, e3, you take on
d8.
d8 and queen. Okay, good. So
So
still it
b4,
feels like,
yeah.
very close to a draw.
Take,
Mm-hmm.
take.
Yes.
Okay, so who is better here?
Well, black is not worse, at least, I think that f6, e5, and king up to e6 will be, So I cannot see that black will lose this position.
No.
Because,
No,
because the b2 pawn, even though it's a free pawn,
It's blocked.
It's
and
blocked.
It's weak, actually.
and black is active, so yeah.
I would actually prefer to be white. No, black, I mean, not white.
But still, white places king to e2,
Yeah.
and then starts to swap pieces and so on. So it should be quite easy to play a draw in this position, I think.
Yeah, we can see from the evaluation bar that
Mm-hmm.
there is a slight advantage for black.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 0.1, so very little.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's true because white has to be a little bit careful, but white has many ways to get to draw. One way is to exchange the minor pieces, then he can drop the b pawn and make a draw with 3 against 4 in the rook ending.
Yes.
So it should be a draw. So let's go to the next one. So here we have
Okay.
another of these Italian games.
Here we have a tough position.
Yeah, we had the position.
We have this position. Yeah,
We
that
had
was
the-
interesting.
Knight, and we had g5,
Mm-hmm.
and it was white's move. And we were analyzing knight g3 here.
Mm-hmm.
But-
And this is what we said, that it's easier to play black,
Yeah.
but the computer is
Yeah.
more into white, but it doesn't matter so much.
White actually played what you suggested here.
Mhm.
Because
It's
you said,
25.
why not just take everything? And
Yeah, because also it's like from a human point of view,
Yeah.
That's why I think that, it's very important when you do analysis these days, do not only check what the computer say, but actually look with your own eyes
Yeah.
and say, what would I do if I was in this position? What is a normal human move and so on. That's a key, really, if
So
you
he,
want to
so
understand.
he took on e5
Mm-hmm.
and then took on a7.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
And now comes an interesting move because normally you would think take back, but he played rook d8.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's good, but that's what he did. I would have taken back. I think. I don't think.
I think that would be, again in a blitz game, it would have taken less than a second.
Yeah, and
Now bishop d4, of course, is because if you move the queen, then it's been probably quite strong because then you have also this take on h3 ready.
yeah,
check.
Yeah, maybe maybe queen c2 or knight d2. I don't know, but he played bishop d4, which is interesting. He used the chance to
Yes.
and of course black took this,
Mm-hmm.
and now he
You have e5 as well.
yeah
Mhm.
this is interesting move here to play e5.
That is, for me, a logical move.
But again, black can play maybe queen g6, maybe something like that.
And then take back on d4?
Can you take on e5? No, then knight takes an f7 hangs, I guess. No, you cannot take.
Sorry, what did you say?
No, you cannot take, of course not. Because you lose a piece.
But
You're actually only up a pawn with black here.
But what happens? Queen g6, what about c take d4? What can black do then? Do you have like... Because, if you just a pawn up, you have to take on d4.
Maybe take on
c5.
Yeah.
Okay, I see, okay.
So let's
what is happening then? Okay, like that.
Maybe we can do this, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a bit slow here.
Mm-hmm.
But taking there.
And then play c5, yeah.
And now we go with this.
Mm-hmm.
And then c5.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a logical move.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't look too bad for black. Knight on f4 is quite strong here.
Mm-hmm.
And this should be okay at least. But
Can
in the
you play
game
knight c6?
now,
Yes.
that's very enterprising.
I suppose it was just a question. I don't know if it works, but at least I saw the move, Knight
But
c6.
Yeah, you play knight c6. Let's see.
Because the idea was to
Yeah.
take on d1, you have check on e7.
Now you check here.
Mm-hmm.
The king goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
King g7.
but it doesn't give that much.
No, I don't say it was fantastic. I just say that it was a
It's
possibility.
Yeah, and then you take here.
Because it could be that there are weaknesses in the black's position due to
Yeah, and then there will be probably an exchange over here,
Mm-hmm.
and then we will have a game with equal material. Maybe bishop e6 or something. I don't know. It looks fairly equal to me.
Yes, maybe.
So in the game there was e takes d4, c takes d4.
Mm-hmm. And if knight take d4, then maybe you play e5.
Yeah. Is there anything in the chat?
I don't know. My skills in. I cannot really see that there is anything coming in. No.
Nothing happened. Anyway, so in this position of
Perfect
c takes
analysis
d4,
all the way through,
yeah.
Tom. That's how I want to see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I hope we make some interesting mistakes. Anyway.
I think I've made many so far, but okay.
Yeah. Knight takes d4, I guess is possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
e5, we can take on f3 with
Yes, and queen take. Because at least then I can feel that there are some weaknesses, on the king's side. I would prefer to play white, I think, just by a feeling,
Yeah. It's a possibility, for sure. It's definitely a possibility.
Because you also have this knight g3, knight e4, knight f6 idea, So there are some weaknesses with the pawn.
But there is a problem,
It's always a problem.
Because if you take here and you play e5,
Mm-hmm.
I could take on h3.
You can take on f3 and h3 as well.
No, then you can take with the queen because the queen.
No, the queen is hanging.
But
as well.
you can start here with this
check. Cool. I see. Okay.
So
nice trick.
So
I didn't see that.
So suddenly this f4 knight sort of wakes up from its slumber and starts
suddenly just losing.
Yeah.
So there are possibilities to play.
So probably it's possible just to take.
Is this the position?
This is the position.
Interesting.
Yeah, and black is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a well played game from both. I mean.
Yeah. So what is happening after knight take d4?
I guess you can just take.
You take it, and the rook takes. You play queen b3 or something like that.
Yeah. And, I think black is perfectly okay. It looks decent.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, he can develop these two. We talked about these two guys here doing nothing, but the bishop is doing something. We saw this line with knight takes h. It's still there doing something, but he needs to develop those. If he only could do that, black could be better here, but I don't think that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we will move from this game.
Mm-hmm. This is an interesting game. We want to see the finish of this one. Okay, this was just simply winning for white, we thought earlier on.
Well, maybe we were wrong.
Mhm.
Let's see what happened. So we had
Bishop d3 was a good move.
let's go back. We can go
Mhm.
back so we remember. Yeah, it was this
Yes, exactly.
0-1
Mhm.
line, and
Yes.
white had some tricky moves,
Mm-hmm.
and black got this position,
Mm-hmm.
and he played some very forcing moves here, but black managed to play e5, which was good, I think. Queen f6.
But here, wait. Here
Yeah.
I want to see.
Yeah. You want to take on g6 or something?
I don't know. Okay, I would have castled long side for sure. I think. But
Yeah, he played the queenside
I see.
castling,
Okay.
which looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But well, I wanted to play this move.
Knight e4.
I don't know if that's anything special, but because
Mhm.
Queen f5, you have this nice knight d6
I agree.
check.
No, I agree. This is a good move. And Queen e7. You can, yeah.
Well, I don't know if there is a threat coming.
I was
now.
I was thinking about.
Maybe now castling. Can you play f5?
Is
or
it
something?
better? Is it better
I don't know.
to have the knight on e4 first, or should you go for c5 or something? I don't know. I don't understand this.
Yeah. But then if I play c5, then I think it's
Do you
a
mean
bit-
white or black? White, I guess.
if white plays c5,
Mhm.
then the c file, if you castle, I mean, I don't.
No, exactly. But
Maybe you can play something like bishop to g4 or something.
Mhm.
I'm not sure about it. I wouldn't play that move. It
Mhm.
wouldn't be natural to me, but
Mhm.
maybe it's possible. Anyway, in the game of the queen, he played,
Mhm. It's
Cross.
logical, I think.
and now bishop f5. That's the problem.
Mhm.
That's why I wanted to play knight e4, because now
Mhm.
now you can just take it, I guess. And what happened now was
Mhm.
this. And this is the
Mhm.
position in the game.
Mhm.
And I think I don't think you can do better than taking here.
Can you take on e5?
You could take on e5, but queen takes. I mean,
Queen takes on
on e5, I guess.
or f1.
On f, but the queen was not threatened.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. Take on take on d3, take on e5, and take with. No, okay, I'm sorry.
mean like
I'm sorry,
this,
and the
but-
knight hit you back. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm stupid.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. So this was possible.
Mhm.
This was possible, but I think maybe just
Take back.
queen takes
Mhm.
should be okay.
Okay.
So in the game there was this, and now this is the position.
Mhm. It's not so much.
No, I don't think
it's like he's a little bit let him slip down. Because I also sometimes earlier on I was also thinking about the move f5 for white
Yeah, maybe.
to try to get just to squeeze him.
Can we do that now? Well, of course, it's black's move. So.
Yes. So the answer is no.
Well, maybe it's a threat. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a candidate
Yeah.
move,
So you could maybe you can take on f4 and then castle alongside.
Yeah, I think probably he should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the evaluation bar gives slight advantage, but not much for white here. And I agree with that. It feels like white missed a chance here.
Yeah.
I think there must have been something good, but again,
Mhm.
if it's not a clear, simple plan and it's a combination of
Mhm.
different
More tricky stuff.
tricky stuff, it's very easy to miss.
Mhm. What do you say about a quick break?
I think we should take a coffee break.
Yes.
Klaus also needs some coffee, I can see that.
Yes.
Klaus is our technician here.
Yes.
He's the guy who makes everything work.
Yes. And he needs a coffee.
Yeah. Okay. See you later. Okay, we're back again after our little coffee break. And it's me again, Tom Wedberg, and my excellent co-host, Jesper Hall. And we are going to dig into these games again. So I think we should start
from the top.
Mm-hmm. And we can see here that not so much has happened since the last time.
But still it's like, they are going into clinch now. So there are hanging pawns on a7, rook is hanging on d3, so it's still, at least...
Things are happening, but nothing dramatic. We haven't changed the pawn formations, for instance.
No.
So we can go back just and see the moves that happened here.
Mm-hmm, yes.
So we had the bishop d7, and here,
Yep.
as you pointed out, in this position now, you can take on f6 and take on d7, but it turns out that due to the fact that black can force a rook exchange, so there are no white rooks, it's perfectly okay for black. So rook c1, bishop e8, knight d4, knight takes, and as you said, knight takes d4, probably best move. And now we played rook d8.
Okay. Because this was a little bit of a critical moment in a way, just because I said that, my feeling was that it's more or less equal, but it seems like black needs to find, some little bit more difficult moves to ensure.
And this is one of them. And the idea is, of course, that if white
takes on b7,
takes here, then a small catastrophe happens, because there is something happening here on this file.
Exactly.
So he didn't do that. Instead,
what happened?
Instead, he played bishop a1.
Bishop a1?
Yeah.
Okay.
A bit surprising. But, of course, now he threatens to take the pawn. So, rook a b8, rook d3, knight d7. As always, you want to block here.
Exactly. But now the crucial move here is, of course, knight b5. Because now it's hanging on a6.
He played that.
Oh, he played that. Yeah, okay.
Knight d7, knight b5.
Yeah, that must be the crucial move. Also because, if you can swap off the bishop on e8, even, you might have the pair of bishops, and then white might have some chances. So, yes.
But as we already said, Kaido is a classical player.
Yes.
He knows
all this. Yeah.
The value of active play, and he didn't fall for any such things. He just played knight c5.
Yes.
And of course, white is invited to take the a pawn if he wants to.
Yes.
Because if he tries that, I think.
We can take a look.
Let's say we exchange. I would expect him to take with the rook.
Yes, absolutely.
And let's take the pawn.
Yeah, you can choose either rook a8 or even rook d2.
Rook d2. This move is strong.
I totally agree.
This move is strong, and so on.
So this is nothing.
No.
So
probably this is the position, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I just mean that when you play this type of moves like knight d7, try to regroup. There are nearly always there are some critical moves that you need to analyze just to understand is it good or bad. And when you have found out that there was no way to punish this kind of regrouping, then of course you should play it. So, good play. Well, okay. So in the end, actually, white now is there is a danger of sitting with this c pawn. That, like you said, Tom, if I remember correctly, that this might be the case in the end. That black will have a slightly better game due to this.
Yeah. Actually, I think black in practice stands better, but I think in theory it's probably equal, I would say. And we get from the evaluation bar, we can see that it's considered to be equal. But I think white has to find some good moves. As you always say, it's time to find some good moves. Because if he starts making, indifferent moves, black has an easier game. So that's the problem.
Yes, it's again like, I can see that in these days, discussing chess positions, it's so much about which positions is easier for a human being
Right.
compared with a computer, because always we have this kind of computer in our heads, and we're looking at the bar and so on. But in reality, when you sit there yourself, probably you all know that is watching this, that it's a big difference, if you have your little friend telling you what to play and it's so obvious, and if you play yourself, difficult moves, hard to find, or if it is normal human moves. Even now, it was interesting. We had a training session now with Peter Heine Nielsen, who is the trainer of Magnus Carlsen. Magnus was also there, by the way, and they told me that what they were looking for when they do their preparations is not positions where one side is much better, but they try to find more equal positions, but where they have found out that it's easier to play one side, because then there is a risk or the chance that the opponent has seen, okay, it's an equal position, but they haven't understood that when you sit there yourself, you're on your own, and it's difficult to find. So always the computer is there with us these days, in all the analysis that we do when it comes to chess.
No, but I think that's a very good approach. You shouldn't look for winning lines with your computer, because you're not going to get that. It's very important to have plans and ideas, and it should be easy to play. That's number one. So let's go on to the next one.
Yes.
I think this might be a draw in the end, but if anyone is going to win, I bet on black. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
And here we see
something has happened here.
A lot of things have happened, and I think we need to go back.
Yes.
To see. I think we saw the Queen F7 move.
Yeah.
And we saw the King G2 move.
Yeah.
And this was the place where we stopped.
Yes. Here we said the question was, how should black proceed? It was not obvious, what kind of plan to use.
No, we had some. Well, you talked about knight h5 as an option.
Yes.
But then we analyzed it and came to the conclusion that there is no continuation after that.
Exactly.
And I think black came to the same conclusion. Theodor from Rockaden in Stockholm.
Our Swedish hero.
Yeah, he's a hero right now. Unlikely hero, maybe? No.
Yes, we'll see.
We'll see. Anyway, he played d5.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I think is understandable.
Yes.
Given that white has this setup here with these pawns, and it's like a fortress here, and he covers all these squares, and it's very difficult to break through. So instead, black plays in the center, and I think also with the rook on a8 here, and he has this pressure down on the a3.
Yeah,
it's logical to do something on this side rather than going against this wall on the.
The only problem is, as always, is that after, let's say, Queen E2 or something like that, the problem might be the E5 pawn.
Yeah.
That you threaten to take on D5, and then the E5 pawn will be hanging. Yeah. And then you need to understand, if you should take on E4, play D4, or whatever you should do with black, and everything has got pros and cons.
I think one thing you could say here is, when you play d5 with black, somehow there is something not so well. I mean, your game has not gone the way you thought it would go. It was not what you wanted, maybe from the beginning. You wanted to crash through on the F file, right?
Yeah, yes.
This was,
you could say yes.
This was the main plan, and as you mentioned, all these knight jumps and everything. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So when you suddenly place d5, then the weakness of this double pawn here is exposed, right? And
but on the other hand, you also know that when you have this type of pressure on the F file, pressure on the A file, there is this rule of several weaknesses that you should create, and now it's time maybe to put pressure also in the center. So I like this in a way. That
in a way you do, but on the other hand, what is the threat again?
Yes.
The Fischer's old old saying, where is the threat?
Yes.
I don't really. Well, there is a threat to E4, but it's easily protected, and I think white is well protected on the queen side and also quite well protected on the king side. So it's not so easy. Anyway, let's see what happened. He played queen e2, very logical. Rook ad8.
Yes.
Rook c2. And now we get the knight h5 anyway.
Yes.
And white played, in this case, knight h2.
Because take on e5, it was hanging on d3. That's what we said, yeah.
And now black uses this trick that you've shown before, that the knight is not hanging on h5.
Exactly.
because if white would take here, then there would be a
check on F4,
counter check here, and the queen would take the queen.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the type of, you have to do these little calculations. You cannot just play strategic. You have to have to see. I think
the small combinations, as they say.
I think Tiger said once that even the most strategic player once in a while has to find a fork.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, I think he said that.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, I think it's very correct. You need to find a fork now and then.
Yes.
Yeah, and also have to watch out for stalemate.
Yes.
He forgot that one.
Oh my God, that was not nice. But okay, I agree on that one as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I think he can enjoy it.
He can, yes,
yeah,
of course.
He understands.
Yes. Okay.
I made so many.
No, this is very interesting moment.
Yeah.
To take on e4, because now it's getting very, in a way that you sacrifice your nice pawn structure for activity, because for sure after d take e4, d take e4, his plan is to go with the rook to d4, so he's playing very tough now, Theodore.
Yeah.
And the question is how much initiative does he get, how much pressure has he got, because now he will get weaknesses,
Yeah. But in a way, he's also shielding this weakness, because once he exchanges, it's protected behind the pawn.
Mm-hmm.
So this was taken. Yeah, and rook d4. Yeah, it's logical.
One of the things is that if you play a bit like try to take away the rook, you always have this fork on f4. So it's not so easy to get rid of it.
No, it's true. It's true. So now I played a very careful move here. He played the king back, which threatens the knight.
Actually, this looks good. Actually, I like this move. That is not an easy move to play.
It's a very difficult move.
But it's I think also because so far we haven't found any way for black to come forward in this position.
Yeah, that's the problem.
We said that the knight on g6 is the problem in many ways, because it has got no future, and you cannot really see where should it be in this position. It's not easy, and if it has to go back, no doubt, you have to watch out then with black due to bishop b2 or something like that. So. This might be a crucial position, actually.
Very tricky. Yeah, it's very tricky. But it's not so easy for white either, because white is not threatening anything.
Yes, he's threatening to take on h5.
Well, but I mean, strategically, there are no threats right now, at least. It's not clear to. We had an idea to play f4 g4 rook g.
But I thought that but I thought if you can play like f3 bishop b2. And then the e5 pawn might hang,
Yeah, but you have this pawn here.
No, but if he has to play knight f6 now, for example.
Yeah, he played knight f6.
Yeah, and then you could maybe, I don't know if it's good, because f3, then maybe you go back. Probably you go back. So I'm not sure you play. Do you play f3? Maybe you have to play f3 actually.
No, he played knight g4.
Interesting.
And I think he's eyeing this pawn here on h6.
No, but the thing is that, rook take e4, you take on f6 and take on e4.
Right, yeah.
I think that's the main point.
Yeah, this is the main point.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and then you take the rook.
Yes, so exactly. If you take with the knight on e4, you have bishop e3.
Yeah, this happened in the game.
Okay, that happened in the game. Yeah.
He took with the knight.
Yeah.
There was bishop e3. And rook went back.
But just let's go back. I just want to go back one more. I want to understand. And one more. I just want to see this position here. And then go back again. Because I thought, yes, you can actually play bishop e3 as well.
Yes.
Because if he takes on e4, you can probably play f3.
Yeah.
That looks, because bishop e3, if the rook goes back, you simply take on b6 and you pawn up.
But maybe you can sack the exchange.
It must be the idea,
Something like that.
How do you do it? If you play bishop e3 here.
Let's say we take here.
And then f3.
And f3. Well, it looks dangerous for black for sure, but
I think this is actually.
but maybe you can take on e3 and play something like knight h5 and try to soften
But
this.
even rook g2 in that position. This is, I think, it's almost winning for white.
Could be. There's also rook d4.
Rook d4 I like more, actually. This is better. And now you have some counterplay, yes. Take on d4 and f4 will probably come.
And again, we come to this question: is it easy to play or not?
But I think that
But
white is clearly better in that
white is
position.
better, yeah,
So
agree.
I think this looks like a better move than knight g4, actually.
Yeah, maybe bishop e3 is better.
That is just my feeling.
I think he's tempted by this bishop takes h6 idea.
Uh-huh.
And
But you just take
But-
on g4, so I don't understand.
no, he didn't. He took on e4.
Uh-huh, okay. Okay,
and
let's
then bishop e3,
Mm-hmm.
rook d7, and he took here.
Okay, I see.
So, and this is
And then you can take on g3.
you can take on g3. What happens then? And then take. Well, it will be equal material, but white has h and g against two e pawns. We can check that.
d3 will come.
We can check this.
I don't know if it's possible, but I just saw the possibility.
Yeah, it's a bit slow. Oh, there's knight f6. We don't have to see the whole line. When you take the bishop, you don't take there. You take on.
Oh my
there's
God!
there's a-
I didn't see that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
So,
Then I'm-
but he he played the queen f5 in this position,
Mhm.
which does not threaten the bishop.
But it is actually just protecting the knight.
He protects the knight.
But also, it's a little bit annoying because the queen is on the same diagonal as the rook on c2.
Yeah, there is
Also a little bit ready for the h3 pawn. So simply, it looks like a good move in a way. Just
It also eyes the pawn on h3 here.
Exactly. That's
So you have
what I
this and
said,
you
yeah.
have this, and this knight is suddenly quite stable here. And the question is, how long do you want to stand here? Wait.
I like this move. Queen f5 was good.
Yeah.
Also, just keep up the pressure.
This is a dogfight, and anything can happen because suddenly the sort of the fundamental pawn structure is changing, and
And here one mistake.
one mistake, and suddenly
everything falls apart.
knight takes g3 comes
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
and it's very dangerous. So this is interesting.
Mhm.
But I think we're going to jump to the next one.
Yeah.
So what do we have here?
White is winning almost.
And that is interesting because it's our Finnish guy, the international master.
What happened in this game?
Yeah,
Do you remember?
It was the Keres attack.
It was. I remember. I remember the game. You remember the situation we had where we came to the conclusion after g5, h take g5 in this one, and we came to the conclusion that actually white was slightly better in that position. I think.
Right. Yeah. So this was the opening,
Yeah.
and we were not happy with Queen e2,
No.
but it turns out that maybe it was not so bad.
And we were not happy with
Queen
this.
d6.
Yeah. But okay. Mm-hmm.
And we had this.
Yep.
And I think somewhere here we said that we're going to see some mistakes in this game.
Yes, exactly.
Because we thought that all these knights jumping would be problem.
Yeah.
But
What we had after h takes, we looked at knight to d4, and then we
Yeah.
realized that queen d1 was a good move.
yeah, that's right. And so we got this instead.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop e3. And suddenly white has a very harmonious position. I
Yes. Now it's
think. And the knight is on d5. That was what we wanted.
yes.
And everything
And,
looks nice.
White is simply clearly better.
Yeah.
Also because this d4 square is not anything to go for, because the bishop simply takes it,
Yeah.
And the knight on d5 is very, very good. And if you play knight to b6 to try to get rid of it, you just take it with the bishop again, and you have a good position. So this is a good situation for white.
And we
Not
have
the least
we
as
can
this
co-
bishop on F8 cannot do much.
We can compare piece for piece. I mean,
Yeah.
this bishop
Mm-hmm.
against this bishop,
Mm-hmm.
clear advantage for white.
Yeah.
This is open and can strike both ways. This bishop, it can never do anything. It's just completely hopeless.
No.
And the knights, of course, this knight is fantastic.
Mm.
This is fantastic. This is not so bad,
No.
but this is not doing much. This is not so fantastic right now, but it will come to it's not. It can just reroute. It shouldn't be any problem.
But I think the key is actually you can compare the bishops in this position.
Yeah, and also this square.
Yeah,
here.
and then the knight of course, but the knight on e6 is not bad. But you know the thing is that the bishop on f8 is completely dead in this position.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. And white has a simple plan to cast alongside, play c3, and you know. Just
But this black player, of course, is a strong.
yeah.
grandmaster.
Let's see what happened.
Yeah, and he immediately saw this problem, so he started by actually developing the bishop. I
that's
think
good.
is good.
Mhm.
And now, of course, long castle is what you expect, but he played instead queen d2, which looks a bit strange.
No, because he can take on g5 otherwise.
Yes, this is true.
So that must be why he played queen d2.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, it's very logical to play queen d2. It's very human. But maybe you don't have to do it. I don't know. But queen d2 was played. Knight b6.
Mm.
And now he plays b3.
Okay.
You cannot take on d5, right? Because then and you prevent knight c4. So it's very logical. The alternative that one would think about is to take with the bishop. But then you have the problem with,
Yes,
with
I agree.
this. So if you do
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
which is logical, black plays this, and suddenly you have a problem here.
I agree. No, it's much better to play b3. That was a
Yeah.
really strong move, actually.
Yeah,
Very nice play.
this is good. b3.
Yeah.
No, this is not the way.
Yeah.
There.
b3.
b3, rook c8,
Mm-hmm.
c4.
Yes.
So now white has gone into full positional mode,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just securing his center.
Mm-hmm.
And
The thing was that when the knight was in d7,
yeah,
I thought that black's idea was to play like bishop d8 and to get, you know.
here.
Yeah, instead of that. I'm not sure it's good, but at least then, because this is such a bad piece, so I thought this was the idea to try to move around and go to b6. But
I think the problem is that then white can play tactical instead.
you know, I do understand that there. I'm sure, you know, also castle alongside bishop b6, maybe take, and then it's a d6 is hanging. So there are
And
difficulties.
also simple ideas like castle and rook h1 is
Yes.
very nasty
Yes.
because
Yes.
you have this problem here. So
Yeah.
this move, and then you follow it up with some rook
Yeah.
here, and
Yes.
yeah,
And rook g8.
very
okay.
simple attacking idea.
Mhm.
Anyway, knight b6 was played, b3, very strong move, I think.
Mhm.
Rook c8 and c4, very good. Knight c5,
Mhm.
and now interestingly he moved back.
Mhm. Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
In a way, because black has got. It's very, very difficult to find any plan for black in the position, and white. And this is also typical, you know, because here maybe black was threatening to take on d5.
yeah.
That's so he simply wants to move it back, and the knight on b6 is so bad, so he does not want to allow it to take on d5 even, you know. So I like.
So
I think
if
white
black
is playing
took
really
here,
well here. you
yeah,
know.
but then if you take, you could take with e pawn, maybe take on c5, put the knight on
Of
e4.
course, still very good for white,
Yeah.
but at least then you get rid of this
Yeah.
bad knight on
Yeah. I
b6.
agree.
And why should you?
No, I like the knight c3 move because black has less space. So why give him exchanges?
So should black go for a5 or something like that? I don't know.
But then b5.
Yeah, I know, but desperately trying to find some kind
Maybe
of.
not immediately. Well, maybe because e4 is.
Actually, I
hanging.
think a5 is the only way to get to do something. you
Yeah,
know.
maybe it's good. Maybe it's good. But he didn't play that.
Okay, what did he do?
He played knight d7.
Why? What does he want to go to f8 and e6 or what? What is the idea?
You know, in a bad position, there are no good moves.
But the a5 was clearly better.
Maybe.
Anyway, okay.
But maybe
I
it was
think.
better, but maybe it was not so easy to see. I mean, this is a move that permanently weakens b5.
Yes, I do understand that.
And for humans,
Yes.
not the first move you think about.
I'm not a human. Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, let's move on. To see.
There was a joke with my juniors.
Mhm.
I misheard and I said, did you say an engine or an Indian? And then we have a guy called Dhananjay Prabhu who won the Swedish Minier Championships. And he said, it's the same thing. I thought that was quite good.
Actually, it is a bit true as well. Maybe.
And it was an Indian who said it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
b5.
now, tough guy. But is it good?
Well, it looks a bit dangerous, right? But white answers very calmly.
take it.
He took.
Yeah,
And then there was a
course.
check.
Mhm.
Take, king.
Yes.
And this is suddenly an ending.
And suddenly it is very good for white, I
Yeah, and
believe.
it might look like this could be good for black somehow with the pawn on b5, but the problem is that, again, his minor pieces are so weak.
Or at least white must be better in this position.
Yeah, he played here,
Mm-hmm.
and white
Knight
went,
e2, of course.
Yeah.
Now it comes to d5.
now this comes here,
Mm-hmm.
rook b7, rook a1, knight c5.
Take it.
Yeah, he could have taken it,
Mm-hmm.
but he played
Okay, b4 is better, maybe.
King comes
Oh,
up,
yes.
rook a8.
He's playing really
rook
good.
a6, look at this.
He's playing so good.
Yeah.
This play, what is this? What it is?
This was this guy.
He's like he's been, this older Finnish guy. What has happened? He has
Yeah.
been training in
in
on his own.
Uzbekistan.
in Uzbekistan, maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, really
Somewhere.
good. I'm impressed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now
Desperation,
knight takes.
of course.
Knight takes b4.
Ah,
Rook a7.
well, he didn't take on b4. Okay.
Well, what can you do?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because if you, there's so many things hanging here.
Mm-hmm. No,
Knight
wait. And here, if you take on b5, there is. What is happening then? Oh,
Well, I think you can maybe play rook a8 and take.
and then knight c6. You have king c4.
Yeah.
I see. Yes. So.
So you just
Mhm.
you just play this move here,
Mhm.
and then you take this guy, and
And
then
there
you,
is no
then you
wine.
always
Yeah.
have this move. So
Yeah.
there's nothing special.
Good. Good.
So knight c6,
Mhm.
very tricky move,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't help because
Yeah, I said, how tricky is it? That was
Well,
my thought.
it's tricky, but it's not good. Well, again, in a bad position, you don't have any good moves. King c6.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like we are closing in on the end of this game.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah,
Yeah, b7 is coming.
of course. No, this is game
so
over.
we have a slight upset here, I think.
Yes, but on the other hand, he was a bit lucky yesterday. Subel.
Subel, yeah,
Mhm.
he was lucky.
So, and I don't
Now,
think.
now probably you play bishop b6 and put something on c7 to get the full queen.
Of course, you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So this is the plan now to
Mhm.
go here
Mm-hmm.
and then go here and then it's
Mhm.
over and out.
Yeah.
I would say. So let's go to the next game. Then we have this game was over in only 18 moves.
Yeah.
We can just check the final position just to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a completely
Terrible.
crushing game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have this game.
Mhm. Did we
Let-
look at this one?
Yes,
What was this?
it was.
It was this game. Okay,
Yeah.
we saw that. We believe that black may be slightly better, but
This was the position, and I think we mentioned the possibility of playing with 3 against 4.
yeah,
But then you wanted a rook ending. If you have a piece, I think it's
No,
not
no.
as easy.
this you don't want.
So it continued like this. And black is of course better, but it's not
Mhm.
not so much.
Yeah, well, maybe it's more than. We'll see. It's actually pressing quite hard. Yeah, I saw. Yes, exactly.
Black is playing very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Israeli international master, Jair Parkov. plays black here.
He has played good moves here.
Yeah.
White didn't play the right way, you know, you can see that, but still okay.
Well, he's trying to defend, but I don't think it's so easy. Very carefully.
Okay. Also, one important thing here, if you look at, for example, rook to b1 instead of h6, then it could be like a same colored bishop ending after rook b1 check, and rook c1 swap. And then you have learned from a young age that, you know, that should be good winning chances for the one with an extra pawn. But it's a huge difference if you have them on the same side. Then it's barely impossible to do anything, you know, like you put your king on e2, and there is no way that black could make any progress in that type of position. So it's only if it is an extra pawn on the other side, then you have a very good chance to win.
There's also another problem for black. He has the wrong color for the h-pawn with the bishop.
Also true.
So if you have an ending with only the h-pawn and the bishop against nothing, it's a draw.
Yeah.
Because white just keeps his king on h1 and there's nothing happening.
So it should be a draw, but
should be a draw.
Black will continue for at least 20 moves more, I guess.
Yeah, you want to exchange the h-pawns here and then press on with the other pawn. This is not clear at all.
But also, you know, maybe at some point, maybe you go for a rook ending and you can try to prepare for that. So there is some more play in this position, I must say.
Yeah, you can go on forever.
Yep.
And he will press forever. So then we have a game that is finished, this one. And let's see what happened here. Yeah, this was
strange.
One of our games.
He took an h3.
We have to go back here. So this was, we had this...
I remember.
It was this position, and we thought knight g3 was going to happen, but you also mentioned the possibility of exchanging everything, and that happened. And here we had this slightly surprising d8, rook d8, bishop d4, take, and
now it took over here.
We didn't see that one coming.
I didn't see coming.
And
no.
According to our friend, it's not losing. Good. It's bad. But
e5,
e5, queen g6. Take.
What is happening here?
Yeah.
King to h2.
Yeah, king h2, according to our friend, is the best move.
Yeah, but that's obvious, isn't it?
And then, I don't know.
He must take here, and then queen e2, I guess.
I don't know. But I understand this. You are afraid. You don't want this. You don't want this check on h5 and.
But it's not. I cannot see that there is real dangers here. No. Because if the coordination of the pieces of black.
Yeah, I know. But
queen e2. How do you proceed after queen e2?
Yeah, but d4 is hanging. Also.
Yeah, but then you check. You can take it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right.
King g2. And if you go to g4, knight g3.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't see any real threats here,
Yeah, I agree.
I do understand that you can be afraid in this type of positions, but this doesn't really look dangerous to me. Knight g3 and rook d,
What about knight h3? Did you see that one?
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't see that move.
And immediately the variation says...
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, maybe I was wrong, but...
No, I always feel a bit naked when I don't have any pawns in front of the king. And with the knight and the queen and the...
And knight h3 was a nice move. I didn't see that. Because this is really what it's all about in this type of attack, is to get like this type of... coordination between the pieces, and I didn't see that because that was very important to get the knight to f4 to get something.
Yeah. It always circles, and suddenly all black pieces are working. So this maybe this, I don't know if this is a good sacrifice or not, but I understand White's decision to just finish it with the draw. We cannot blame him too much.
We will not.
So this was a draw, and then we have again our Ukrainian-Swedish champion here.
Yes.
And
that had a good position with thought.
Who had the
And then
almost winning position and now is probably slightly worse, I would say. I don't know. Let's go back. Where were we? We were somewhere here, right?
No, we were much further on, I think.
Yeah, here we said 94 maybe,
Yes.
you know. But he did this and then black got to
this
exchange.
also with f5 or e4. That was also something I was thinking
Yeah, we
about.
were looking at. And then we got this. We said this was going to happen. And castling. You said that, yeah.
No,
and it's not so easy to say what's good here with White's position. Okay,
No.
h5 you could say is a little bit weak, but I mean you play h4.
No, I think this is perfectly okay for...
The only thing you have is some extra space, but you don't have any pieces to fill out this space.
Exactly.
So the risk is that you have a sort of an empty backyard and pieces can come in. It's even better to have less space. So knight e4 happened, queen g7. Queen g7 looks a bit... Doesn't that look a bit strange? Well, you cannot go to f5. Let's point that out.
That's good.
Because then we have a trick.
But where is it e7 you thought of?
I don't know.
There are only that is not much more choices, between e7 or g7.
No, I agree.
So
no, it's not,
E7
it's
should
not so
be-
clear.
Or can you take on f4?
But queen g7
No, you
happened,
cannot.
and I just I don't know. Anyway, what happened was king b1, and obviously this is a tricky position, and it's very important that you play the right. And we can see that there is a move here for White.
Yeah, but this is also, I was actually thinking about that. I saw it right now, but even before that, I said that if White is going to have something, it must be c5 and start to go for an attack.
It's extremely difficult to see this.
Yeah. I think it's it's a very what do you say, dangerous move, and you have to be very careful. But if you look at you threaten to take c6, and if he takes it, you take with a knight, and you threaten to play queen b5 and queen to f5 check is also. So for me, this is really, really dangerous. I would be very nervous if I was black in this position now. What
happens if you play queen f6? Is it queen h3?
There are several possibilities here,
We have this check here.
A knight to d7.
And then, so, okay. But this is typical, the computer sees all these things. It's nothing special. And
but my feeling, because normally I think that this type of moves can be very difficult to find. But in this position, when the queen is also moved back to g7, then I could feel that
But I don't like the queen on g7 because it's very limited.
Yes.
I prefer to keep it a little bit more centralized. But I agree, I did not see all these things, and I didn't see c5. And I think the Swedish champion from Ukraine did not see it either.
No, let's see what happened.
He played king b1.
Preparing for c5, maybe.
I'm not sure. Maybe he is. I don't know. King b1. King b8. Not bad.
Good.
Rook f2. Knight e7. Knight g5. Rook e8. Okay.
Yes.
Rook c1. Queen f6. Queen back. Rook f3. Knight f5. a3, rook e7.
No, I feel that White has played without a plan. For the last move, there has been.
Yeah, White is playing what I call one-move chess.
Yes.
You make one move, you have no plan, and then something happens. You make another move, just one move, no plan, and after a while, you have sort of spoiled your position completely.
Exactly. And here, actually, take on c3 and then play h4, and then your knight will be very good on f5. I think that's a strong,
Yeah, he played like this.
It's okay, I guess.
This knight on on
f5 is really strong.
It's a little bit like Kaido's knight on c5 in this game that we have looked at before.
Now he has got, this is better for black.
So now finally he plays c5, but now there is no punch anymore because he doesn't have the queen, so there is no attack.
Yeah.
No, black is better here.
Yeah.
But it's still a game.
Yeah, of course.
And yesterday Sivuk showed great resourcefulness in this rook ending
Exactly.
that was drawn, and he managed to win it.
Mhm.
But I looked at it, and there was actually. Do you need to go?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
See you tomorrow. I will hold the
Yes.
fort for some more time, and then
Thank you.
and then I will also go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you later.
See you tomorrow.
Okay. So Klaus, do you want to join me? Okay. So I will continue this, and we have to go back. I can see that there has been some results. So we're gonna check that. We're going back here to the game. Yeah, it was finished here in this situation. So our Finnish player, the international master, Pekka Koika, he managed to beat the grandmaster from, was it Slovenia? Slovakia? Czechia? Well, I have to check it. Let's see now. No, let's see here. Yeah, from Slovenia. Very good victory for the Finnish player. So then we go to the first board. And we go back and look at the position we had here. So we had this position. We can see that the evaluation bar gives an equal game, but we said that this is a position where white has to play very exact, because it can easily be a bad game for him with pawns. And actually the computer gives bishop d4 here with an equal game. The only move that gives an equal game here is bishop d4, putting more pressure on the pawns on the queen side, and threatening to take on c5 and then take on b7. But white did not find this move. He played knight d4, and we can see from the evaluation bar immediately it's an advantage for black. And it continued with rook c8, knight b3, b6, and now all the threats to the black pawns are gone, and we are left with a position where black has a better pawn formation, and the c pawn is blocked, so no chance of exchanging it. Black is better, not much, but a little bit. Bishop d4, bishop a4, and we get exchanges. And now it's very easy to see that black is better. The pawn on c4 is weak, the pawn on a2 is weak. The pawn on c4 is also on a white square, which can be attacked by the black bishop. So it's getting difficult for now for white. Bishop e4, king f8, king f1, king e7. Typical, you want to bring the king into the play. Bishop b5, you cannot take it, you lose the rook due to this pin here. So bishop d3, bishop c6, rook c3, rook a5, targeting the other pawn, a3, h6, h4, g5. Take, king d2. So how do we evaluate this position? Black is better for sure, and this is the type of position where you could exchange rooks and still have an advantage, because in the bishop ending there is still some problems with the c4 pawn, but I don't think that's enough to win the game. I think if it's only the c4 weakness and no rooks, I would think it's a draw. So it's not so clear, not clear at all. But I give black good chances here. Good practical chances. Also, well, Kaido has actually little time left. So this might be something of a chance for white. On the other hand, it's very easy to play this position. So I expect a long game with pressure for black. White fights for a draw, black tries to win. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so what happened here? So we had this bishop take h6, and then we had queen f5. And we said, yeah, this is interesting position, unclear. And rook e1, knight f6. Okay, so maybe in this position black had a interesting tactical possibility. He could actually take here on f2. Because let's say knight takes. Then we can just take the bishop. There is no knight fork anymore. With a pawn more for black, but white has safer king maybe. But Theodore didn't see that, or he didn't want to play it. He played knight f6, bishop e3, rook d3, bishop b6, take a pawn, rook a3. Okay. Okay, so in this position there is a hidden resource. I didn't see it, but the computer sees that black has a very, very strong move in this position. It's a move that breaks the position open, and it's knight to f4. And after taking here, the rook can slide over, take on h3. And suddenly it's a very difficult position because we have an attack if you take on f6 with check. There is rook takes. Rook takes, and then the rook comes to g6, and it's just completely over. So this was a chance. But this didn't happen in the game. Black moved the rook. No, sorry. He played rook c3 here. Here he should play... No, he played rook c3, yes. Bishop c5. Rook e8. Knight f6. Suddenly white is much better. Queen f5, king g2. So white has a very solid position, equal material, but this is clearly better for white, I would say. The attack is gone. You would like to play something like knight f4. This would be nice if you could do that. Let's say white plays the move here. Let's say white takes here. You would like to go something like this, but after take on f4 and queen takes here, the king just moves back. Goes down to g1, and you have nothing. If you had the rook on f8, it would still be possible to play rook f6, but I think in this position there is nothing. So there is no attack anymore. I would say that this is better, clearly better. Okay, let's go forward. So we have this game. We looked at this before. It's very, very difficult for black to win because of the bishop and the color of the h-pawn. And in this position, white has a very solid position. The bishop is on e3, protected by the pawn. King is better, rook is good. I think this is a draw. I think it will be a draw. So this game, the Swedish champion, Vitali Sivuk, and his opponent, Bennett Hagner, the very young FIDE master from Germany, has ended in a draw, which must be seen as a victory actually for the black player. So let's check it out, what happened in this game. So we saw this game to this position, and here black played knight d4. Okay, knight d4, rook d1, and now he played for f6, which means it's more or less a draw for, because now we get the rook ending here. Yeah, and a draw. Also a good result for the German player, who was actually in a bad way in the opening. So, and then we go to this game. No, we have seen this already. So these are the games we have been following. I'm not going to pick up some other game. We were going to stick with these games, I think. So I think this game is interesting still. The question is if white can survive this or not. Yeah, this is dangerous. So what do we have? We have a weakness here on c4, and this can be attacked by the bishop, the king, and the rook. In principle. And white can of course protect with his 3 pieces, but if you can combine somehow this attack on the c4 with some other attack, there could be problems. So how can you do that? Well, let's see. What can we think about here? Yeah. Typically what you do here is you move around. And now it's the 40th move, so black has to make one more move, and after that he gets more time. So this is, I don't expect anything sensational here. He will just make a move because he has only seconds left on the clock, less than a minute. So the question is what we get. He could play something like rook a1, or I don't know, something like that. You probably don't want to move a pawn in this situation. You would probably play a rook move. That would be my guess. What's happening? Why isn't he playing? Strange. Because this is not difficult. Yeah, he played rook a1 and king b2, yeah. And now he will just move the rook back. Okay, let's go to another game. So this is the game between the Indian international master Bhupala Pranit or Pranet, and he plays against the local hero Theodor Kenneskog, FIDE master from Rokaden in Stockholm. And he definitely had his chances in this game, Theodor, but white played a very nice game, defensive game, and he took away all the chances for black. And even though black had some chances, it was not easy to find those moves. And now it looks not so good, I would say. So white has many possibilities here. One plan is to play a tripling on the 7th rank. So let's imagine you could get the queen to c7, for instance. And then you would move the rook up to a7 because the bishop is protecting the f2 square. This is very important. Of course, you have to watch out for some knight jump here, knight f4 at some point, or something like that. But the queen here, of course, is protecting also. So, yeah, I expect this to end in a white victory. That's most likely. I don't know what black should play here. Knight f4. What is happening here? Knight f4. Ah, white is in time pressure. And white played g4 here, which is a terrible blunder. Because now the the knight is on f4. He should have taken the knight. Let's have a look. Take. Queen takes. King g2, I guess. Let's say queen g5. King f1, I guess. Yeah, black gets some checks, but it's not enough. Rook c1. Yeah, and it's white can play rook e1, and you get maybe one or two more checks, but then white can easily defend by bringing back the rook or the bishop or the queen. It's obviously nothing. So g4 is a catastrophic mistake. And after this, queen h7, of course, which actually turned out to be a mistake also. Yeah. So let's see. Knight f4, g4. Yeah. Queen f6 is the best move in this position. But instead he played queen h7, rook e3, king h8. And now white is winning. And there are actually several ways to win this position, but the absolutely most simple way is to take on g7 here, opening up the attack on the rook here, and this is pawn here is very well protected, so black has no counterplay. So rook takes g7, king takes, queen takes e8, something like that. Looks very strong. Okay. So this game still on a drawing path. This game, black is better, but it's very good drawing chances for white, I would say. But black can torture white for a long, long time. Yeah. So I think we're going to end this stream in a little while here. And rook takes g7 happened in this game between Pranith and Kenneskog, and I think this will end the game fairly quickly because now white gets a very strong attack. And he can bring this other rook again up here, probably with check at some point. So this is easily winning. So we'll follow it a little bit more, but then we're going to close the stream. Okay, king takes. Now we can either take, or we can also interpose a little bit of a check here. We can play this move, queen d7. And he did. No, he didn't. King takes g7, he's thinking. But he can also just take here. I mean, what's the problem? Threatening lots of checks everywhere, and yeah, it's a terrible position. And now white has a pawn more. e5 is probably falling, and yeah, it's completely lost. It's a pity, but Theodor played well in this game. He had definitely chances, even in the end, and yeah, it's just time pressure. That was the crucial phase. So, what do we have? Yeah, nothing is happening here. This is probably going to be a draw. Yeah. So, I will leave you here and you can watch the games. We will make a roundup tomorrow and tell you what happened, and also say something about the other games. So thank you very much for this round. It was great chess, and see you tomorrow.